lot of podcasts out there, but only one with this kind of energy.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps, Predictions, Sports. Let go, Show Recaps, Predictions, Sports.
In one podcast.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps, Predictions, Sports. Let go.
What's going on, everybody? It's the EVP from the EVP Show, and we are live for your SummerSlam Night 1 recap show. And I'm joined unexpectedly by the host of Queens of WWE and still our champion in our DWE predictions, Kyle the Man. Anthony, what's going on, brother? How you doing tonight?
What's going on, CJ? Yeah, tonight's show wasn't great, but we'll get into it, and hopefully tomorrow will be better. But yeah, let's get into it, man.
Yeah, I'm gonna get my dog in. Come here, come on, Molly, get in here. So that was my first question that I was going to ask you was, we had talked earlier before the PLE. Looks like Triple H and Creative went in and done a little bit of changing before. Obviously, Oba and Brock were scheduled to open the show. Then they moved Cody and Punk to open. And then about 20 minutes later, it's reported that that Liv and Io was going to open. What's your thoughts on this being the second biggest PLE of the year? They did this kind of stuff at WrestleMania with all these script changes and stuff like that. What's your thoughts on that? And kind of what we talked about over the phone. Do you like that kind of stuff, or do you think that they should just leave the card alone, or did you feel like
it doesn't really bother me, to be honest? I don't really pay attention to that type of stuff anyway, honestly, because I don't really care too much about that type of stuff personally. That doesn't really concern me. I'm like, I like to be surprised of what the match order is. I think when it comes to like the championship matches, I think that should always be the main event, because if we get a scenario that we got tonight where Randy came out at this just came out and nothing really crazy happened, and the match wasn't really all that great between Punk and Cody that a lot of people kind of hoped it would. I wasn't a fan of this feud. I'm not a fan of either guy. It didn't really interest me personally. But yeah, I personally don't like the fact that I don't want to know any type of just stick to their guns over what the main event's going to be. Don't change your mind because people have an opinion. It's at the end of the day, it's your company. You do what you want. It's like me saying, "Hey CJ, change. Let's change this entire show and let's talk about the main event first and go backwards to the main event all the way up to the opener." I mean, come on, dude. You have a schedule of what you want to do. Don't change it just because the fans disagree with it. Too bad. It's like you're saying, like, of the way how podcasters go, how they present themselves, or if you don't like the person, you don't have to listen to them, but you may have an opinion, say you should be like this, and say, okay, well, thanks for your opinion, but I'm not going to change just because you say so. Who are you ultimately? You're not the boss of me. So that's how WWE should be. They are a $1 billion company. They can do what they want. And they shouldn't be, if they lose fans, whatever, they'll still gain fans or whatever. The little kids don't care about scripted scripted TV. Ultimately, they don't really know about the storytelling. I'm sure, yes, the adults do, and that is annoying and frustrating that they say one thing but we do another thing. But at the end of the day, it's your own company, and people will still watch anyway. We had terrible Raws. I said it so many times. We had terrible Raws in 2014, 2015, and it was still terrible, but people still watched anyway. I still watched anyway, so it shouldn't matter. Watch terrible pay-per-views, still came back anyway. So it shouldn't matter. You shouldn't really you should stay committed and know that people will stay loyal even though you have crappy shows every week.
Well,
so I don't know why this is different.
Here's my biggest question. I mean, I agree with you 100%. I think that everything you're saying is 100% valid. Um, my biggest question before we start hopping into the PLE is, me and you were talking about it before we went live. The amount of time that they gave the performers in the for the matches at WrestleMania, and then I'll kind of go over this with you, and it's kind of in parallel to the question that I had. So, do you think that Oba and Brock, just because we were in Minnesota, should have main evented? Because I'm looking at the run times, and I know I don't have the complete run times from WrestleMania, but we talked about it earlier today on the phone. Liv and Stephanie only got about 7.5 minutes at WrestleMania. It looks like they got close to about Liv and Io got close to 13 minutes, and it really kind of looks like they dragged that out with the interference. I mean, Roxanne and Raquel were laid out from a moonsault for about 6 minutes or so. Nick and Gunther got 12. The 6-man, the Usos against LA Knight and Solo and Royce got 11. The 6-woman tag, which the heel turn was so, in my opinion, it was so premeditated. You could see it coming a mile away, but they only got 8 minutes. And the main event got 12 minutes, and Cody and Punk got 30 minutes. So as a content creator, like, someone that does this stuff and talks about these shows, do you feel like they made a mistake by kind of putting a damper on the SmackDown World Heavyweight Championship? Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, like, I guess, who main events, but it makes that championship on SmackDown look really weak, in my opinion. What's your thoughts on that? I mean, obviously that's more than likely Brock's last SummerSlam match, and I understand the nostalgia of that, but I mean, let's be real. I mean, they only went 12 minutes, and nobody that has a brain thought that that Brock Lesnar was winning. So, your thoughts on the amount of time that was given out?
What it tells me, what that tells me is that it makes me think about Roman Reigns, or even Seth Rollins, ultimately, honestly, as well. Because, well, I say that about Seth. I do remember 2017, 15. He was the World Heavyweight Champion, but he was like in the middle of the show for Hell in a Cell when he defended that title. But the big attraction was at that time Brock Lesnar and The Undertaker, so I could understand that perspective there. Here, I think they should have just had Brock Lesnar and Rome and Oba Femi, especially with that finish, like third, honestly, on the card, honestly, and that was like third or fourth. I think. Like, how to say, because what was the third match? I know that Io Liv was first. What was second? It was it the 6-man?
Yeah, the 6-man was second. I'm looking at
and
third was
third.
Gunther and Nick Aldis was third.
I would have flip flopped. I think if that was the case, I would have had the last bit, the Hell in a Cell, then third, then do Gunther and all this, then do and then Punk should have been the main event, and then if you were to do that finish with Randy, all that stuff, it could have been but either way, it just, I guess to me at the end of the day, I felt like, to me, the matches I was looking forward to seeing, which was legitimately just one, and that was Liv and Io for me. I've said that to you before, and that match I enjoyed. It was a good match, and everything else was kind of like, it was like bleh, type of deal. I feel like just looking at tomorrow, top of my head, you have both secondary championship matches on that show. You have a ladder match. You have a huge history between Reigns and Rollins. That's the other problem with this match with Cody and Punk. There was no history here. And people were so excited about this match. I was like, dude, there's no history. Why do you care? It's just amazing to me that people are so, I guess, hell-bent or just are not a fan, which I can understand between Rollins and Reigns, but that at least has history for years. Cody and Punk do not in WWE because, I know a lot of content creators watch both AEW and WWE. I don't, and a lot of people don't. And so all they know is that they just created this thing for no reason. When you had Sami Zayn holding the championship, when he first won it at Night of Champions for no reason, he should have stayed the champion instead of him being. Now I love that Balor gets a chance to be an opportunity to be number one contender tomorrow. I am looking forward to that. It should have been a triple threat scenario, or just kept it as it is, or never had Sami Zayn in that position in the first place, if this was your plan to do in the first place. Or, I don't know. All of this it tells me that Cody Rhodes, at the end of the day, should not be in the world title picture anymore for a while. Should take a break and do something else instead of him being in the title picture. That's why we'll get into the Randy thing in a minute. Go do that non-title, that's fine. But him in the title picture, been there, done that, let's move on. CM Punk, I'm not interested in him being champion either. You keep having these championships on older guys. And we're going to get that with Rollins and Reigns tomorrow, but at least that interests me. That excites me. And so far, Reigns' title run, is it terrible? It's been all right so far. I haven't been in love with it, but this is the first feud, I think, in a while for me that I'm mostly invested in seeing Reigns in, because he's up against a guy that I'm a big fan of in Seth Rollins. So that kind of helps, when that's how I felt when he faced Finn Balor as well, back in 2021. So those are the two guys I'm big fans of. And so when Reigns is in a ring with those two guys in particular, it gets me invested, gets me interested. And it does help that the build to the match between Rollins and Reigns has been really good. And the build to Punk and Rhodes has been garbage, has been a waste. There's been nothing, there's no story with the two of them at all in WWE. I think a lot of people are fantasizing about, because I guess they feuded AEW. I don't know, because I don't watch, but for what I've heard, they clearly, I guess they feuded AEW, and they had a good rivalry there. They thought it's going to translate into the same in WWE, but it's two different companies. I guess that's what people they cannot understand, or just grasp that information. They want to hold on to a thing where it happened with whatever happened in AEW was going to be the same that happened in WWE. That's not the case, because a lot of people don't watch both companies. So I don't know. I think content creators need to separate their brains and focus on one thing. Is completely, one company is very different than the other company. And then if someone from WWE comes back to WWE, who was from AEW, that comes back to WWE, they need to realize that WWE is very different than AEW, and you should know this. As a lot of content creators who've been watching longer than I have should know this, that it's just very different. You're not going to get the same exact story that they did in a different company, because it's a different company. They're two different shows. It's like buying two different flavors of chips. It's just different flavors. It's the same brand. It's the same chips, but they have different flavors. Same thing here.
Right.
Same wrestling companies, but they're run very differently, and that's what a lot of content creators can't understand. And you get themselves disappointed over something that they should know is different companies are going to run it really differently. Should they be similar? Sure, but they're just not. And you just gotta have to accept that and not be hyped over it in your mind and think it's going to end up being a good match or even a good build. even with the build, they said that this is gonna be a great build. They had that. They said the same thing about CM Punk and Roman Reigns this year too, and that wasn't really. I mean, it was fine, and the match and it was a great match at WrestleMania, but it's just very different. This is a different feud. Punk had a different feud with Reigns that he does with Cody Rhodes. I'm sure this is going to be the first match. I'm sure they're going to have multiple matches coming out of this, maybe, but
Yeah, they will.
For what I've seen, I don't want to see it anymore at this point.
Well,
people need to get that in their brain.
Here's the thing. I'll just kind of touch on what we talked about, and then I'll touch on that, and then we'll dive into the card. But in my personal opinion, nobody thought that Brock was winning. I guess, like I said, he's not retiring. I know that's kind of what it looked like, but he never said it. I believe he wrestles in Saudi Arabia. Triple H is just, he's so obsessed with the internet and just all of that. I'm not a fan of that. I think if you advertise something for opening the card, then that's what needs to open the card. In my opinion, the way I would have done it is I would have had open Brock open. I probably would have done the ladies 6-woman tag next because it was the shortest match. The crowd really didn't pop at all for any of them. Truthfully, I feel like that match was pretty dead, crowd wise, because it was right after Nick Aldis and Gunther, where there was a lot of crowd, a lot of emotion. So I definitely would have put it even. I mean, it was already in a position where it was not going to receive the amount of pops. I mean, Fatal Influence kind of got a little bit of a pop.
It's like a TV match.
Yeah, it was more like a SmackDown match for me. As far as the Cody Punk stuff, we've talked about this. This match was not even supposed to happen at SummerSlam. It was a 3-week build. It was a WrestleMania match. They got moved up to sell tickets. They don't really have much of a story in WWE. They were starting to really tell some sort of a story, but they ran out of time. I said this going in, and I remain to say this: if WWE is turning Cody Rhodes into John Cena 2.0, which I'm not a fan of. Being a Cody fan, it's just very frustrating to see that they just don't trust anybody enough to outside of Cody Rhodes to do to show up every day and to do all the media and the marketing. It's not about wins and losses and title reigns and all that. It's all the shit that he does for WWE and TKO and all the live events that he works and just all the extra stuff that he does. They don't trust anybody enough to turn that man heel. And I'm not a fan of that. He's getting booed because just like John Cena or anybody else that's been champion a lot or so many times back to back, you're going to get fatigue of that wrestler. And the fans are definitely under the Cody fatigue. And I told you this, and I said it on the prediction show. Like, I picked Punk because if Cody's not going to turn heel, which I thought tonight, if it was the main event, that there was a really good chance that could happen. And when it got moved, I said it's not going to happen. I told you that on the phone. I said he's not turning because they're not going to do it in a co-main event status. So I said if he's not turning, he shouldn't win. They can always circle back to this. They never really finished the story, so to speak, with him and Randy after WrestleMania because Randy's been off of TV. I think that they probably run that back, which for me, I'm not really invested in that because I feel like TKO stepped in and fucked that up with the Pat McAfee stuff. So at this point, yeah, I mean, they can run him and Randy back, but I don't really know that anybody's invested in it, truthfully, because of what TKO did by stepping in and putting Pat McAfee in the story. I mean, you got to keep him out of the title picture. But the problem is, Kyle, at the end of the day, TKO, you know, I know they teased Oba, Punk called out Oba. He called out Roman. He said he'll go to Raw, and the ratings suck over there. And he said the P word on the post show, and said called out Trick. He's definitely facing Sami Zayn. I hate it for Finn, but I don't think Finn's winning tomorrow. They're not going to do a babyface versus a babyface again. They're just not. There was no turn. Sammy's a heel. It makes it. He just lost the title. That's probably where they're going. But I mean, who's really invested in Cody and Randy?
I hope you're wrong, man. I just hope that I really hope tomorrow will be slightly there. I think that'll be stupid. That'll be lame. Well, you give Finn Balor all of these wins, all these potential, and then you get people's hopes up who are Finn Balor fans just for Sami Zayn again. For what I said, that was the plan all along. He should have faced him tonight instead of doing this whole number one contendership, and give him them. So I really hope that isn't the case. Kind of like the same. That's kind of like the other matches for tomorrow that speculate people are gonna want to see these people win, and hopefully that doesn't happen. But I hope not for Balor's sake. I think Balor is doing a good job so far. I think it'll be a slap to the face to the fans, and then being like you haven't Sami Zayn be there because why? Because you got a heel versus babyface. Too bad, man. The story with Sami Zayn is for him to keep losing, and then to run that and see where it goes instead of him going back to that scenario. Because if that was the case, he should have just remained champion, but they chose not to. And you have Finn Balor in this position. I get what you're saying. I know that you don't agree, but for terms of the situation, and I feel like the booking of that and of people and people who are speculating that and all that stuff. I don't know. I don't like that. I think a lot of people will be really turned off by that if that does happen. So I just hope that doesn't happen and we just get a straightforward win for Finn Balor. And whatever they do with Sami Zayn, they'll do with Sami Zayn in a different way, type of deal, or just whatever. But I think Balor should just win tomorrow and then move on.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that I don't like it, because personally, I'm not a fan of either one of them. I just know that we've seen Punk and Finn twice for the Raw Championship. Like, not that either match was terrible. They weren't. Just a story that they're telling from TV, with Sammy being this hard luck loser, gets the title. Punk shows up on Raw when Cody gets hurt, takes the title. I know WWE's booking, and I'm afraid that that's the direction that they're going. Maybe you're right. Maybe they would like Punk even talked about it on the post show. Like, he really doesn't want to have to face another friend. It's definitely the story there for Sammy, unless they have a returning Kevin Owens show up and maybe call Sammy. I think that's the only way that Sammy doesn't win, or maybe KO shows up and helps Sammy. I don't know. I know he's in the area. He's in Minneapolis. We'll have to see how it plays out. Like I said, I personally don't care either way. I didn't really care for Punk's. He had a lot of energy, which I like that. But we'll talk about it when we get to the Punk Cody match. But it just, everything seems very forced to me. You bring in a WrestleMania 43 match and move it up to SummerSlam, and then you get a 3-week build. And for me, the match wasn't really. I think Cody and Punk both had better chemistry when they wrestled Roman Reigns than when they had together. But that also comes down to this was a 3-week build on the match. So, with the right storytelling, given a longer amount of time, I don't think they should immediately go back to it, and I don't think they will immediately go back to it. I feel like I think they're going to keep Cody away from the world title for a while because they're too chicken shit to turn him heel, and that's TKO. I don't respect it. I think they're going to do some similar shit like they did with John Cena and wait till he's getting ready to retire, which is a joke. He's getting booed. He got booed tonight. Turn his ass heel. Like, I don't know what they're so scared of. I can tell you what it is. I just told you. They have no trust in anyone behind him, like Triple H was talking about in the press conference. Are you as over as Roman? Are you as over as Cody? Or as over as Punk? Creative and TKO have no trust in anyone else behind the Roman Reigns or the CM Punks or the Cody Rhodes on the men's side to grab that torch and run with it. And when you run a company like that, you know, you got Obafemi there. Like, why can't he be that guy? Turn Cody heel and let Oba take over as that face. You got but CM Punk throwing shots at
CM
Oba.
Punk called out Obafemi on the post show.
He did, but that's all for show. I mean, we know that Oba's not going to go over to SmackDown. Netflix ain't letting that man leave Raw. The ratings when the Bloodline's not on TV would really be shit if Oba left Netflix. Netflix is paying a shit ton of money. There's no chance that man's leaving Raw. I believe Oba's next feud with Bronson Reed. Bronson Reed called out Obafemi, said something on his Twitter and said that you said that we were shoving Braun Breaker. You guys were shoving Braun Breaker down our throats, and he was talking about Oba. I think that's Oba's next feud going forward. It's going to be with Bronson Reed, and I'm not opposed to that. They are going to do whatever they can do to keep Obafemi away from Roman Reigns because TKO has to have the title on him. Because that's just the way it is. It's TKO. If you're not in that upper echelon of people, then you are. It's frustrating. It's very frustrating as a content creator to talk about this because, truthfully, now you know CM Punk. Go to a couple of comments and then we'll get onto the show. This is from Stampede. What's going on, brother? Cody the QB3 Rhodes. It looks like he is down to QB3 status. Trick and Punk could be shit horrible. I have no interest in seeing that. None at all.
Wow. You know, I mean, no.
I think that would just be awful. I have no interest in seeing Punk and Oba. I don't think we see Punk and Oba. Truthfully, there's going to be a lot of people on SmackDown. Raymond says, hi, what's up? I even said it before too. WWE is scared to turn Cody heel, but they won't do it. Plus, it's ridiculous. Honestly, it is. It's they're going to ruin his career. Because at the end of the day, people are tired of him as the baby face, the kissing the babies, and the politicking. And Cody's actions in the match is not the baby. He didn't play a baby face in that match. He did a lot of heelish shit in that match, but they just won't. I guess maybe because of the PG-13 rating or whatever. I don't know, but I'm not for it. I'm not even invested to see him and Randy again. Truthfully, I'm not. They ruined it already. I mean, would it be a great match? I'm sure. But what is that gonna do for Randy? I mean, he's supposed to be chasing 15. I mean, Punk called Randy out too, said he was gonna slap his mom in her mouth. I mean, slap his daddy. You know,
Punk truth is, when it comes to when it comes to Randy Orton and Cody Rhodes, at this point, we need to have a huge discussion when it comes to Cody Rhodes as in the world title picture, and a big discussion of Cody being very similar to John Cena and how he's always in the title picture. He's never in a personal feud that does involve a championship. They just can't allow him to be a part of that for some reason. They do that. He had a personal issue. Well, I can't even say it was a personal issue, but he had a feud with Seth Rollins, not a title, just because that led to nothing. Then he gets hurt and he comes back and he wins the Rumble and he faces Roman Reigns with no story build. The people are upset that he lost. He lost at WrestleMania 39 because why? Because there's no story there, but people would have crap all over that, say that was a terrible decision. And yes, I would agree at that point with Reigns being champion for as long as he was. He just wanted someone to take title off of him. I get that, but then he stick with Cody even still. And it's like the moment should have been at 39, and then he should have gone from there and for whatever he was going to end up doing in 2023. But they chose not to. They wait till 2024. He becomes champion. It's not a good reign. Then he loses the championship. Then he gained it back. He loses it to Drew. He gained it back. And then he lost. Then he lost it again. Then gained it. Well, he did all that stuff. It's like back and forth, and it's like this Cody Rhodes experiment is not working. He does not fit the mold to me as a main event star at all. He never has, and I think in my personal opinion, I think he never will. I don't know what the Cody Rhodes is for the kids at this point. As we said before, they're just doing the John Cena thing with him, which I think is pathetically sad. How could anyone get invested in a guy who decided to leave and was never positioned as a main event star when he was there the first time, and then he comes back and yet he's portrayed like he's some type of big deal. Comparison to Paige, at least she was a former champion when she was there and was presented as a top star in that women's division when they were treated like sex objects when it was still the Divas division. But at least she met something before she left, and that's what she's here now. She means a lot of great. She means even more now, and she's been stuck in this tag team vortex and the Bella's vortex, and hopefully now that that's over with, we can move on to bigger, better things for Paige as a single star as she's meant to be. So Paige has that credibility, but Cody Rhodes does not. He was never he was never seen and presented as a main eventer, and a lot of people, at least online anyway, are viewing this guy like he doesn't matter. But it seems like now when he got booed tonight, so it's like that has to tell you something that people are now starting, even in the crowd and the audience are now starting to not care for Cody Rhodes, and they feel like he's being very similar to John Cena and Roman Reigns being shoved down their throats in the world title scene. And so, WWE needs to fix that. Either turn him heel or have him in a whole different feud until much later in the future.
So here's my take, and then we got a couple of comments. I'll go
in the world title picture. I mean, later down the future.
Sanford said Cody's likely part of the issue with not going heel. He had the same issue in AEW. I mean, maybe so, but at the end of the day, it still has a lot to do with they just don't trust anybody behind him and Roman Reigns. I was told he was. It's been reported by multiple outlets that he was given the green light. So maybe it is, but he hears the boos. They changed their characters at the top from the reactions they get from the crowd. So like, and I'll touch on it just a brief second, and then we'll get into the card. But let's go through the comments really quick. Raymond says, I did like Cody's entrance in the Street Fighter gear because I can see the reason why. Again, because they are promoting Street Fighter, and they showed the commercial 30 times. It has Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes in it. They're one of the top two. They're their biggest stars. They're gonna keep promoting the shit out of it. Is why WWE was promoting the Street Fighter, so that's my guess what WWE was doing. They definitely are promoting that. It's coming up in October.
He looked like a child, honestly, what he did. I didn't like that neither. I think that, for him he always does that too when he's like, he has to come out with a skull mask thing or come out here looking like he's from the army or something. It's like, dude, no wonder why people don't care about you. You just can't come out as your normal self. Like any other time, every other time you're on TV, I get it's SummerSlam or it's WrestleMania, but who cares, man? You got to come out like you normally do, like everyone else does, even as the world champion. Don't come out looking crazy, and you're gonna get yourself make fun of every single time. And you are a public figure. You are a famous person every single week, presented as a top star in a major wrestling company, and you're dressing like a cartoon character, you dress like GI Joe as a cartoon. It's every single like at that like nah, man. It's like it's either the skull, either the helmets he comes out in, or what he does here. He just looks like a cartoon character every single time he does that. And that's why people can't treat him seriously. Supposed to be a main event star. I guarantee you, Roman Reigns or Seth Rollins don't come out dressing up in a main event match every single time there's a major show. But you do every single time. Now why? Pathetic. Stop. You get
Yeah, I don't really care for all that. But at the end of the day, just to touch on what you said, a lot of it has to do with Heath Dusty Rhodes' son. That's just how the business works. I do believe that they made the right decision. Truthfully, I believe that he needed to lose at WrestleMania 39, and I think the story from WrestleMania 39 climbing back all the way up to the top of the mountain to WrestleMania 40 with The Rock and all that was a really long, drawn out story. At that time, at 1,300 and something days, Roman Reigns had been champion. I'm okay with the way that played out. He held the title for a year, lost it to John Cena, then won it back from Cena at SummerSlam, then dropped it on a random ass SmackDown to Drew McIntyre, won it back, then dropped
every
the
time
title.
Cody Rhodes is champion, he has terrible reigns. The first reign wasn't good.
Is that Cody or is that creative though?
Well, yes, it's part of it's part of creative. Sure, yes, I agree. It's kind of like we say the same thing about Liv. I mean, we'll get to that. It was the whole Liv thing too, but I think sure, it's that, but it's just also the way it's just how he just comes across on TV as well. His character is
he's got to have a character change. At the end of the day, like I'm a fan of his, but the only thing I will defend about him is that the creative is shit. It's for a lot of the champions. Even Liv.
I don't know. I guess whether he was booked great or not, I guess it's preference. I just never was a Cody fan. I just don't view him as a main event star because they told me that he was never going to be a main event star, and he decided to leave before he was given that. So I can't switch my brain and say, oh my God, this guy's amazing. I can't do that. Like I feel with Paige. So I guess for me, I just look at it differently than everyone else who just don't care, or just it can just look past that, or they're younger and they just see what he's doing now, and people don't know how he was when he first was there because they weren't born yet. So it comes out to those two scenarios. So it is what it is.
At the end of the day, everybody has their preference. There's a lot of things about him I don't like. But I don't own the company. Obviously, I'm not TKO. I'm not in creative. Maybe he does have something to do with it. Maybe he's hesitant to turn heel because maybe, he doesn't want to, let the kids down, or I don't know. I don't know. But he needs a character change, whether he's at the main event scene going for the title or not. The people that do like him, he needs a character change because and even someone that is a fan, I don't really care to see him and Randy Orton again. I don't, because they ruined that at WrestleMania, as I said, with the Pat McAfee stuff. We'll see what they do moving forward. I think the title picture on SmackDown is a shit show, and it's in shambles. I think that they're just throwing shit at the wall right now, because they have no idea what they're doing creatively. This is Roman Reigns' first title defense outside of the bloodline. So hopefully after he's done with Seth, so we got we either got to start pushing Oba towards the SmackDown title or towards the Raw title. It's you can't. And this is another thing, and we'll get to it when we get to the Oba match. But you can't hold. They passed the torch to Oba tonight, or Brock did. Said he's the future. You can't possibly keep this man held back for another. If the plan is to have Roman Reigns be the champion until next SummerSlam, you can't have. What are you gonna have Oba Femi do for a year? I mean, you just keep him out of the title picture. If he goes over to SmackDown is a shitty show. So like, I can't see it. I don't think Oba can even save that show, to be honest with you. So I don't know. I think it's going to be interesting to see what they do with Oba moving forward. We
need younger world champions at this point. They should have done that with Braun Breaker. They need to do that with Oba Femi. They've already kind of ruined Breaker, him being forced in a tag team scenario where he doesn't belong. You know, it's unfortunate that people got hurt in the Vision, but you should have got rid of Braun Breaker when he had the chance to have him do something else coming back from his injury. So they've ruined that. I think he should have won King of the Reign or be in the finals with Seth. And so that's the first problem. Second problem is that you had this guy call out Brock Lesnar so many times and not really cared about the tournament, and it's like nah, man. It's like, who cares? You needed to. They should have just got rid of the Brock thing. Just had him just celebrate that victory at WrestleMania and move on, and just focus on the King of the Ring tournament and just take a chance on Oba Femi and Roman Reigns instead of being afraid, and just see what he's able to do. You have to give these people a shot, because if you don't put them in that position, people won't see him as a main event star. If you don't put him in that spot, he's gonna have to take a chance to see if he sinks or swims. You can't just assume something's gonna end up being bad if you never have him do it. You gotta have these people actually physically be in the ring with these top level people in order for them to care. The whole reason why they pushed Roman Reigns so hard is because you had them with main event stars. You had them against Randy Orton in 2014 at SummerSlam that year when they broke up the Shield much prior. That was his major first match, singles match, and he won against an established main eventer, established world champion. So that was a chance, that was a risk, and he took it, and it worked. So you have to do that with all your top guys as well. You know, with Breaker, with Oba, with Theory, even if you give him much, you can't just keep having these people just mute it and not say words, not cut in promos or anything, with some of them, and then with others, you gotta have to have them in cutting promos even more than a few minutes ultimately when it comes to Breaker or when it comes to Oba Femi. Now at least he's starting to cut promos a little bit more frequently now, but how does he go toe to toe with on the mic with someone else like Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns or all these other people? You have all these young people on these shows, but you don't focus on them because you're focusing a lot on Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns. And I love Seth, but I'm a fan of Seth, but he's already been there, and he can't do this forever. So same thing with the women's division. The same thing. You have all these women, majority of them. You have Becky, you have Charlotte, and Alexa, and all these. At least with the women, they're treating them a little bit different. They treat them a little bit differently. We see a lot of new stars there. Some of them anyway, not all of them, but at least they do a better job in the women's division than they do with the men. I don't know why they decide they push the women very differently than the men, and they can't be equal in that perspective, in that respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's just an issue.
I agree. It's they could have went ahead and pulled the trigger and had Oba face Roman, even if he didn't win the title. He didn't have to immediately win the title, but You could have given him the chance. Like I said at the beginning of the show, WWE and TKO have these certain group of people that they invest all of their stocks in. But the problem is every day that goes by, these people are getting older. So when they get to where they can't go anymore, and you don't have anybody that can carry your company, when they actually do, they just don't want to push anybody to or put anybody in a position that it's called playing it safe, and um, that's exactly what that's exactly what they're doing, is playing it safe. So, but we'll move on. A couple of comments, and then we're about to jump into the card. Stampede said Paige is not the same singles wrestler that she was prior to the injury. She wasn't good in AEW as Soraya either. I didn't really
Haven't
see
given
her
her a
much.
chance. They don't give her a chance right now to be in a singles position right now because they forced her in a tag team. So we don't know exactly how she thrives. I think she thrives more as she's more of a WWE star than an AEW star, as far as I'm concerned. I don't think she fit that mold. Honestly, I feel like she's more. She's more a WWE star. She wasn't really given a full chance to show what she was capable of because she got hurt, and the women's division, women's division was a lot different when she was around than it is now. I'm sure if I think she's even better than AJ, honestly, in the ring compared to two, in the ring ultimately, and so I think she can thrive more. I think back to when she was first a heel in 2015, before she when she was feuding with Becky or even Charlotte. I enjoyed those matches, overall, and it was just she wasn't able to give a chance to really show what she was capable of. When the women's division was transformed into the women's division in 2016, she had the one championship match with Charlotte on Raw, but then that was it. And then she was but that her time in the company at that time was bad, and she got released and all that stuff. That she came back in 2017, was very short there too, because right after she got hurt, and people blame Sasha for that. That was the whole thing. So I just think she was never given a fair chance to show what she was capable of in the ring, because her injuries diminished that, and she had her personal issues with drugs and alcohol, all that stuff. She just wasn't in a good place at that time, and so it just wasn't. Now is the chance. Now that she's clean, that she's sober, and everything is going her way, I think she'll be great now. Now that she's no longer in this tag team vortex, as I didn't want her to be in when she first came back at WrestleMania. So I think that's been the main problem here, is because they forced her in a tag team scenario and be involved with the Bellas, which I think it's not. It's hurting Paige's credibility, and she should be in the ring with newer people instead of going with the same old that we just saw in 2015. This is a repeat, and who asked for the belts to come back anyway? I don't think they need to be in there at all. I think you talk about someone that's past their prime. I think it's the Bellas by far, because they were never good in the ring to begin with, and they're still not compared to the women that are. The women now are making them it's just embarrassing for the Bellas to be a part of that. Paige, at least, has been good in the ring before in the past, and she just needed to be part of this women's division, and I think she'll thrive in here. But the Bellas are embarrassment in this era in the women's division in 2026.
Well, the good thing is the Bella's contract, I believe, runs out at the end of 2027. Obviously Brie got injured. We'll talk about that after we go over the quick 8-minute match they had, which Paige wasn't featured much in. I don't think that she's completely.
The last part, I just don't believe that Paige is washed or anything. She was just put in a bad situation. Did the best she could in the situation that she was a part of, and hopefully she can move on from that. That's my main point.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, this Brie injury is probably gonna change some shit up again. I'm sure. We'll see what the end result is. I mean, Nikki just come back from having I think it was something with her ankle, a sprained ankle, something like that. I don't think Paige is done with the Bellas. Not right now. I think that she's gonna have a match with Nikki. It just turned on her, so I think that's the first thing that she'll do. And maybe after that, maybe she moves on. But I don't think they're gonna completely move her out of that storyline. When she just got, I mean, she just tweeted. She said, "You guys messed up." So she's
Yeah,
going to be
I
going
get
after
that
AJ.
part. I mean, I understand that, but it's like, I get that's the thing, but it's like, oh God, it would just feel like I just saw this, man. It was like, I don't know. I feel like I get why. This is why I never wanted her part of this in the first place. That's why that's why I wish that this, her a sacrifice for Paige's big return in a different spot. So it all around. I wish ultimately at the end of the day, the Bellas should never have came back when they did. I think for them having a edge and what have it nostalgia act. I think it's really just sad. They had their time, been there, done that, but it's like every other woman on the show is much more superior. And Paige is in that. I think Paige is more superior than the Bellas combined. And I just feel like they're just reminiscing old times, honestly. And I think it's pretty sad and just kind of
Yeah,
and slightly pathetic. So I just think it's completely just their time has come and gone. I don't see Alicia Fox coming back anytime soon. In that spot. I don't see Lana coming back in that spot. Even though we did see Lana for a short time, but she decided to leave when she
hmm
decided when her time came and gone. 2019, that was the final year, or 2020, whatever. It's the final year. Then she disappeared, and never came back. So it's just pretty sad that the Bellas just can't let it go, and it's like they think that they're the vocal point of the women's or in part of the Divas division. They really aren't. And I don't when I think back of the Divas division, the only two women I think of is Paige and AJ Lee. That's it. I mean, the Bellas were
yeah,
there; they did what they did, but it wasn't like impactful or anything. Had freaking Nikki Bella hold the Divas Championship hostage for all that time just because they wanted to uh X out AJ Lee at that time, however, be champion for as long as they did at that time. So it's like it doesn't matter what the Bellas do, man, or Nikki Bella in particular. It's just not, man. Just they had their time. It's over with. Been there and done that. Let's move on and focus on the new women. And Paige is a part of that because she's still young and never got a
hmm
fair chance. So that's why I can't say Paige is washed or anything. You cannot say Paige should go away with the Bellas because it's two different they're two different scenarios there. Paige is not in that conversation whatsoever.
yeah. I think she'll be okay. Like I said, she'll have her. I do believe she has something with Nikki. I don't know the severity of Bree's injury. I haven't heard anything yet, so I'm sure I'll hear something over the next few days. I'm sure they'll be talking about it on their podcast on YouTube. They kind of tell everything on their podcast, so we'll see how that goes. We have a comment from Z. What happened to Cody Shield turn? I don't know. I don't know. I think it had a lot to do with maybe Cody, or the possibility it was they were moved out of the championship match was moved out of the main event. There was no chance he was turning heel in a co-main event spot. That was just not going to happen. They're not going to do that. So, welcome back, Randy. Yeah, it's good to see Randy, but we're telling the same story we did before WrestleMania, which I have no interest in seeing, truthfully. But if it keeps Cody out of the title picture, then that's what's best for him right now because I don't want him with the title again. He needs a character change. People that haven't seen him as a heel don't have no idea how great his character is as a heel. So he needs a character change. If it's Cody Randy, I'm sure that's the direction they're going. I'm sure it'll be a great match. There's a lot that people can't say, oh, there's no story there with that because obviously they go back to the legacy. So there's plenty of story there. If they have time and keep the celebrities out, I'm sure it'll be a good feud. Maybe it carries Cody. Maybe it carries Cody through the fall. I don't know, but I can tell you they're eventually going to circle back to Cody and Punk. They are going to do that. So I don't know. So Stampede said, "What wrestlers come out cosplaying as characters from movies?" I mean, I do agree with Stampede. I mean, it is a promotional act for a movie. I mean, they probably paid him to do that. Truthfully, I do get what you're saying, Kyle, but at the end of the day, like he's playing Guile in Street Fighter, so I did understand what he did tonight because there were Street Fighter commercials, or they had a Street Fighter commercial on the screen in the top left corner, and they had it on the ring when he was wrestling. So
yeah, I get that, but it's like the same thing with WrestleMania, all this stuff. Every like big event, he has to dress up like he's dressed up for Halloween with that freaking mask every single time, and he doesn't do that on TV. He has to do that during which I don't know. I just feel like he always does that on almost every single show. Almost feels like it doesn't really matter. I was just thinking it would be just WrestleMania and SummerSlam, but then thinking back though, when I think about like Finn Balor, for example, when he was part of the Judgment Day, he came out every single pay-per-view with some type of mask on top of his head, which is very weird and all that stuff. But at least he doesn't do that no more. But that was when he was a heel. But Cody's a babyface and he's doing this. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really understand why he's treated every single show like it's some type of make like a big deal. Just come out dressed in like a Halloween person. I was like, from like a Halloween character, for every single time, with the whole skull mask or whatever. It's like, come on, man. You already have it all over your neck. Be grateful for that you want it. And then you don't come out dressed up like being a child, but dressing up with a mask every single major show. This is just so, I don't know. It's just not for me. I know a lot of people like the kids love him. He gets super over, but it looks like that's going to change now. But it's just at the end of the day, he's just not for me, and he's never gonna change my mind over how I feel about him. So that's just where it comes out to, and so it annoys me, but there's nothing I can do about it. So whatever.
Yeah. I do feel before we get into the opening match and stuff, I do feel like they're still kind of making a mistake. I think it was the right call him to lose 100%. But they're gonna throw him back into another feud with the same person he feuded with at WrestleMania when they're trying to keep the boos away from him because they're too chicken shit to turn him heel. But then they're gonna throw him into a feud with Randy when they cheered Randy when he RKO'd him. So what are we doing? Like, why? You have to turn him. Like, you can't just keep putting him in feud with people that are going to get cheered against him. Like, it's John Cena 2.0, and I don't want to see it. I've already lived it. I've been watching wrestling for over 30 plus years. I've seen everything that John Cena did in professional wrestling, and when John Cena used to come on my TV, I used to change the channel, and that it's going to get to that with Cody at some point where it's fatigue. Like, you get tired of when you see that person. You expect them to have the championship, or you expect them to kick out of everybody's finisher move. It gets old. Like, he needs a character change, and I do believe throwing him in an immediate feud with somebody that has been off of WWE TV since WrestleMania, that's going to get cheered by the fans, is another mistake if you're not turning him heel. So I do believe that. So shout out to DWE Media for reposting. Stampede has a question before we get into it. Stampede says, where Kyle is such a big Paige fan, what did you think of her world title run in 2023? I don't know anything about Paige when it comes to that, so that's for you.
I don't know about. I think he met her run in AEW when she was at. I don't really know. I just saw her winning the title in London, but that was it. I didn't watch too much of her on AEW at all. To be honest, I tried, but I honestly just did not care of watching her at AEW. It's the same thing about Sasha Banks. I'm a big fan of her, but I don't know what she's doing currently on that show. I remember she was the TBS champion. I know that she lost it and she had multiple belts at one time before, but whatever she's doing there, I'm not sure. So even same thing about Tony Storm. I just don't. I try, but I just can't get. I just cannot be. I don't care what they're doing in AEW. Just does not interest me. Because I'm a fan of those women. I cannot watch them on that show until they, when they come back to WWE. That's what I will care. Until then, or if they never will show up, I'm just never going to watch them ever again. I try, and I just can't do it. I'm just not invested. I just don't care. I'm not invested in what they're doing on AEW, so I can't tell you how Paige's run was in AEW because I just don't know, and I don't really fully care to have interest in anything that she was doing at that time because this was for me. I just know her in WWE. Anywhere else, I just don't know. WWE is the only show. Everyone here listening to me for the first time or whatever. I only know WWE. I don't know any other wrestling company. I grew up in WWE, the good, the bad, whatever. I stayed watching WWE. I never stopped. Whether it was bad, I still watched it anyway. So anyone who goes to any other show, I don't know them on any other wrestling show beyond WWE. The first time I experienced anyone who is new is from NXT only. Like Roxanne Perez. I know her from NXT. I know that she was in another wrestling promotion before she came in WWE. When she was Roxy, as far as her name over other places, but I just know her as Roxanne Perez in WWE. Cora Jade, same thing. I know her in WWE. I know that she's in TNA now, but and that TNA and WWE are collaborate with each other. But if you don't come from NXT, or if you decide to leave, then come back, that's when I would know you from whatever you did at WWE, not in any other company. So that's the bottom line for me and my fandom in wrestling. If it's WWE, I know. If it's anything else, I won't know what anyone is talking about any other wrestling company. So don't come to me with that, because I won't know. Is that for me being hating on anyone who watches any other company? And it's out. At that last moment, I feel like I was being rude there. But truthfully, I don't know what's going on in AEW, so there's no point of talking about it to me at all because I just won't know. So it's for anyone else who watches every company that's available for people to watch, but not for me.
Right. Yeah, see, because Tempe said you'd be a fan of those wrestlers. You're basically a fan of the wrestlers under the WWE banner. Yeah,
Right.
that's basically what you're saying. Is if they wrestle under a different promotion, then once they leave WWE, you don't really follow them. So, all right, so we will go ahead and get into the card. SummerSlam opened up with Obafemi warming up for his Hell in a Cell match against Brock Lesnar. We see Nick Aldis and Gunther arrive on split screen. On another split screen, the Bella Twins and Paige are shown arriving with Fatal as well as Fatal Influence. We see Cody Rhodes and CM Punk on split screen. We get a video package of WWE SummerSlam. Michael Cole and Wade Barrett, obviously Triple H and Stephanie McMahon's daughter sang the national anthem. I thought that was cool. I didn't know she was that old, but she did a great job.
I know about her daughter. That was some random person.
Yeah, it was Triple H was Stephanie McMahon's daughter. So I knew she was into. They had one daughter that was really talented, in singing, but she did good. She did really good. I was very impressed. So Michael Cole and Wade Barrett welcome us to the show as Io Sky makes her way down to the ring for the first match of the night. It will be the Women's Raw Championship match. Liv Morgan's first title defense in 109 days. And apparently they, I guess, just like we talk about all the time, they just completely got, which is good for the Morgan fans. But they just completely ran this whole story with Danhausen for the last month and a half on Raw, and it didn't play any factors into the match tonight. That cursed, they can't say that anybody else is cursed and have them lose anymore, because I think Liv Morgan kind of put a hiatus on that tonight. So Liv Morgan makes her way down to the ring, and she by herself, which was pretty interesting to see. So the match starts off with both women locking up. Io backs Liv into a corner. Liv hits a kick. She sends Io to the mat. Io hits several kicks and forearms to the back. Liv sends Io to the turnbuckles and slaps Io, which we saw after the match that Liv was pretty bruised up in her face. Io then chucks Liv in the corner. She hits a hesitation double knee strike. We'll go later on to the match. Liv drops Io on the ringside barrier, and Liv sends her into the ringside barrier. Liv then hits a knee into the corner. Io gets a victory roll. Kicked out at 2. She hits a double stomp to the midsection. Later on in the match, Liv's back in the ring. Io goes to the turnbuckles for a moonsault, but Roxanne Perez from the Judgment Day, this is where we saw the interference start, distracts the referee, and Raquel Rodriguez hits a choke slam to Io Sky off the turnbuckles. Liv then goes for the pin, but Io kicks out. She's starting to show some frustration. Io then kicks Liv when she goes for Oblivion. Io then knocks Roxanne Perez off the apron. Io then sends Liv over the top rope, but Raquel catches Liv. But then Io goes up top, and this was probably her downfall. She ends up hitting the moonsault on Roxanne Perez and Raquel Rodriguez and was trying to hit Liv too, but Liv got out of the way and got back in the ring, which I thought was just absolutely wild. Liv then hits a Hurricane Rana driver in the ropes. Liv then goes to the turnbuckles, and Io stops her with a show tie. Io then hits an elbow to the back, sets up for a Spanish fly and hits it. Io gets a near fall. Io then hits a forearm. Liv fires back. They exchange. Io then hits a butterfly gourd buster and follows it up with the butterfly backbreaker, but Liv rolls into the corner. Get towards the end of the match. Io then avoids an Oblivion. She goes to the apron and hits a German suplex on the apron and sets up for a running double knee strike against the ring post and hits it. The referee then checks on Liv, and Io limps to the turnbuckles. Io then misses a moonsault when Liv gets her knees up. Liv then goes for Oblivion and hits it, but Io is able to land on her feet, which was incredible. Liv then hits a code breaker after that, and then she finally is able to hit the Oblivion for the 1, 2, 3. The winner is still your WWE Women's Raw Champion, the Judgment Day, Liv Morgan. Your thoughts on the match? It went about 12 minutes. As I said, they told we were unhappy with Danhausen being involved in the story. So it's like what WWE normally does with storytelling is they will have something going on and then they'll just completely get away from it and act like we just don't know anything about it. Danhausen was not involved in this. He shouldn't have been involved in it in the first place, but that's what's been on our television screen for the last 6 weeks. So your thoughts on the match? It went about 12 minutes. We did get a little bit of interference from Raquel and Roxanne, but nothing teasing anything in regards to any animosity. No Stephanie Bakur. Don't know what the hell's going on. Starting to really worry about where the status of Stephanie Bakur, especially if she doesn't show up on Raw. Liv, before I get your thoughts, Kyle, Liv did an interview with Kathy Kelly after the match, and she said she doesn't plan on defending the title for another 100 days. So what's your thoughts on the overall match? What's the direction they're going? Because they didn't really give a direction. We didn't get a return or anything. So where do we go from here? And what were your thoughts on the match?
Well, I thought the match was a lot better than their match in Night of Champions. I wish this was their first match, not with the 7-9 Champions. I thought the build to the match itself was, I've been saying it on my show on Queens of WWE itself, that for me, that it was very weak, very rushed, and not with no story at all. They're doing a lot of video packages with not enough time to express their case of being the champion, in front of the crowd, in front of promos of why they hate each other. So I didn't care for that. The match itself, though, I loved. It was, like I said, a better match than Night of Champions. It was, I don't know. It felt more crisp. It felt easy. It felt just, it was one of the best. Looking back, it was the best match of the entire show. And I just loved everything about it. I thought that, I initially thought that Io was going to win because there hasn't been any credible feuds for Liv to face. Since that Liv's fault, I'm a Liv fan. I think Liv as champion. Liv as the women's champion. I love. I just think it's been a crappy run, and because they have no credible challenges for her to face. or they just refused to have to give her anyone to face. Whether if it was just more like a one-off, even they just choose not to do that, even and have her play cheerleader for the Judgment Day. But I'm intrigued what's gonna. It's really obvious now that Roxanne's going to be the one to, I believe, will win Money in the Bank in October and will win the title and take the title off of Liv at some point when Roxanne wins their briefcase. And that was, I mentioned this on my show like months before and saying that, of that I'm predicting Roxanne to win to win the briefcase and her to cash in the briefcase to against Liv, even though I thought it was like it would have been necessary just to have her be the women's champion, have Liv be upset either way, but clearly that's not the direction. It's clearly going to be Roxanne and Liv for the women's championship when Roxanne cashed in, and I'm also predicting that happens at WrestleMania when Roxanne be the first woman to cash in at WrestleMania. Well, I don't know if Liv's gonna be champion all the way up to that point, but it may seem like it may end up being that case, or may end up happening at Survivor Series. It may be in November, so I take that long. So yeah. So either way, whatever happens, ultimately my pick will still remain to be Roxanne and win that briefcase in October, and maybe she just cashed it a month later at Survivor Series. Who knows? But because I don't know if they want to wait that long. I don't know if she's gonna be champion for that long. All the way up to next year's WrestleMania. I mean, she could, but I don't know if that's going to happen. So, but either way, the match itself, I enjoy. Where does Io go from here? I don't know. I guess it was up to me. I would have her in the IC title picture at this point. I would definitely do that. I'm looking forward to that. I initially wanted Io and Becky for the IC championship. At some point, but that didn't happen because they never went down that path. And now the IC champion is Soul, and they have great, they had that one-off match at Raw when Soul debuted, and so to see that again, that'll be cool. But that is babyface versus babyface. So it's like maybe they'll wait till Lyra wins it, because I know that she will want to get the championship back, and she just turned heel. So I think whenever that happens, I think whenever Lyra wins the championship, I think that's where Io will potentially go after Lyra at some point. That's when Io will go after Lyra whenever Lyra wins the IC championship. There you go. That's what I would say. So, yeah. Either way, but again, I love the match, and we'll see what happens with both women coming out of this.
One last question, and then I'll give my thoughts, and then we'll move on to the next match. So in my opinion, because I also am a Liv Morgan fan, do you feel like there's a lot of similarities with what WWE is doing with all of the champions? I know I know you're not a fan of Cody Rhodes, and that's fine. Everybody, likes who they like, but Liv Morgan has had a couple of title reigns in WWE, and they both kind of been centered around waiting on somebody to return. The first one was with Rhea, and obviously this one is with Stephanie Balcour, which she still hasn't showed back up. So your thoughts on her with, going over 100 days without a title defense? She did tell Kathy Kelly in an interview after the match she may go another 100 days, which I don't really think she will, but maybe she will, because at the end of the day, like, that's the problem right now with creative, is they put these titles on the Cody Rhodes, the Liv Morgans, the Jade Cargill, who went 100+ days. Roman Reigns has 2 title defenses against the same person in almost 100 days. He literally defended against Jacob twice, and it's been almost 100 days. So what do you feel? I mean, what can they do to fix that? Because it doesn't really matter how great your character is if you're not defending the title and you're making that championship look very weak. So I don't. there's not a lot of baby faces, and I do agree with you. I think the match was okay. I think the match was good. I think it was a lot better than the match at the for the Queen in the Queen of the Ring finals. Um, Liv is now 3-1 against Io Sky, which Io got her only win in the Queen of the Ring finals. It was a back-to-back match, but it was a lot better. Judgment Day had minimal interference, but they did interfere. But my biggest concern and question moving forward is the only path I can really see if where is Stephanie Bakur? And the only path I can really see now is Roxanne Perez winning the Money in the Bank, which I will be at, which I would love to see. I'm definitely here for that. And then, but I don't see Liv Morgan holding the title all the way till WrestleMania. That's insane. That's way too long, especially for somebody that's not defending the title. People are, you think the internet's in an outrage over Cody. They're really it's gonna get to a point where people are just gonna lose their shit online about her. There's just, for me, there's not. I thought they may go Io because then you could bring in Becky. You could bring Becky back when she comes back from vacation. You got Lyra, which they've kind of, in my opinion, destroyed her heel turn already. Hopefully they can try to regain some traction with it. I don't know where they go with Liv from here because besides Sol Ruka, who's left on the Raw roster as a babyface that can challenge her? I mean, we can't have her go another 100 days without a title defense. That's just 200 days, 2 title defenses. That's why people get that's why these wrestlers get fatigued, is because creative is shit and they don't have a feud lined up for them. So, I mean,
well, here's what I'm guessing. This is now. I just now thought about this. So I don't know if they're gonna do this or not, but I just thought about this just now. So we know that both Liv and Raquel have championships, but Roxanne doesn't. So my guess is that within the next few weeks or within the next month or two, headed, leading up to, whatever they do in September, past the Sunday night's main event of that month, that they have another show in September. My guess is that somewhere around the line within the next month, or maybe it starts this month. This month just started. We've seen the tension between Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez so many times. Very quickly back in backstage segments and everything like that, having some like tension, not relation, but a tension between Liv and Roxanne, which it's leading somewhere. This happened before Liv even got hurt, beginning of the year. So my guess is that, not beginning of the year, from last year, I should say, when was the briefcase. I don't know exactly how the timeline will happen in that point, but I do think at some point Roxanne needs to break away from Liv at some point before October. So I would say hopefully sometime later on this month we get more attention and more obvious deception, and by the time it's September, it'd be a complete breakaway from Roxanne and Liv, and that's how we get something different going with Roxanne and Liv. Because clearly that is going to be the direction, because they decided to keep Liv as the women's champion. So, and we've seen the tension between these two for months at this point. So that's clearly the direction. I just don't know how we get there, but that's what I see happening.
Yeah, I mean, it is pretty apparent that seems to be the direction they're going. The only issue I have, once again, is how long they, obviously you can't do anything about the time. Like, obviously the women's Money in the Bank is until October. I believe it's early October. So, I do believe Liv needs a filler feud though in between. Hopefully Stephanie Bakur is back. Maybe she shows up.
This is why it sucks that Lyra's a heel, because
Yeah.
I would probably say Lyra. But they're both heels, and you're probably not going to do that. Yeah, I don't know. And Lyra has aspirations of being the IC champion, and so is the IC champion. I don't know. Are you going to do that? No mind. No mind. You know what? I say that, and they have freaking Tiffany Stratton, who I love, is going to be in a women's championship match tomorrow night, and she's my prediction. She's my pick to win that championship anyway. So I mean, I know what am I saying? So they can do what they could definitely do that with Soul. But that's really the only. There's not really there's no really good options for Liv right now that are credible challengers for her to face for that championship that would make the most sense. So though there's Io, but they did that, and then she's probably gonna I don't know where Io goes from here. Like I said, she's probably going to face Soul. I think maybe if it was a baby face, they have probably no choice there. Or they'll do Soul and they'll do a champion. They'll have her. We have the IC champion go after the world champion because they have no credible baby faces.
Well,
or they're going to do Roxanne.
Or you could
do Roxanne. Oh yeah, I forgot. See, I just forgot. Yeah, that's right. I'm just so used to her being a champion that. So I'm so used to her being a champion, but
Io can kind of clamp into the Intercontinental picture with Raquel. I think that's great.
You see, my brain. While I was keep thinking about because I keep she's been champ. I've been so because Raquel just won the title. I just forgot about that. Yeah, because that is guys you said earlier that I always see Raquel and Io and so, but I was thinking that so was still the champion all that time. Wow. Right. Okay.
Maybe the only babyface I can think of, Kyle, that's present on the TV, that could be a credible challenger. Obviously, I'm not putting the belt on her because if the plan is for Roxanne to win Money in the Bank, and at that point she probably tells Liv she's going to cash in on Rhea or whoever the SmackDown champion is at that time, but then she ultimately cashes in on Liv. I guess they could do a Soul Ruka Liv feud. I know they have had a match before. Soul needs to kind of be built back up again from losing the IC title. I don't know. That's the problem with creative is there's just not a lot of direction. There's certain people that when they win the title, they just don't have the direction. And I just think that Liv is unfortunately one of those ones that I would put in the same category as a Cody Rhodes or a Jade Cargill, that they put the title on them, but they don't have a whole lot of creative direction for them. So that ultimately makes their title reigns bad. But I'm looking forward to
that because I love Liv, but I wanted her to be in this position for the longest time after being treated like she met nothing like he did with Becky Lynch. So it's like it sucks that for being a fan of Liv Morgan, that her being probably a champion for a very long time with her character change, all this stuff. But I think also too because honestly, she could have had this similar run in 2024 had she not turned heel the first time and having her compelling storyline with Dominic at that time, and her when Rhea was hurt, all that stuff would never and that was new and fresh, and that was something new we never saw Liv do before, and that made her run as champion kind of secondary to the character work she was doing at that time. But then we've seen that so many times, we're now seeing what would have happened if she never had that title run in the first place and had that character work. If she didn't have that, if she didn't have that character at all, if she just been a champion, we would have seen that in 2024 that we see it now of her being like that, having her character is not being substantial, of being interesting or compelling to make her title run great, because we already seen that, and because we've seen that, her title run is lackluster because they don't have any credible challengers still, which is pretty sad and pathetic. And it wouldn't really matter whoever would have walked out as champion, whether Io won the championship or Liv retained, they still have that same issue. I think back to when Io was the champion, they choose to treat her like a third wheel with Rhea and Bianca all that time, and it's just her reign wasn't great neither. When she retained at WrestleMania last year. So it's just I don't know. I just it's they just done a I don't know what happened with the women's division lately. Like it was there, and all of a sudden it's kind of disappeared on both shows. But it's like, man, what we're mainly Raw though, because there's less women on Raw, there's more women on SmackDown, and it's not booking them great on SmackDown, but it's like no one on Raw that's credible enough, that enough women that are credible in that spot right now. Becky's gone. She hasn't been seen since I don't know when. Since she lost the title to Soul, she disappeared. And yeah, and it's just and there's just too many heels on the women's side that there are credible baby faces. That's the other problem. And so, I think the quicker Roxanne turns babyface, the better. Because I mean, Liv needs Roxanne in the worst way at this point to be in a feud with. That's what I'm ultimately waiting for. So yeah, I just don't. It's just yeah, I don't know. They have no one for Liv to face in a credible way. So I'm be very interested what you do if Liv moving forward as a champion. Again, it sucks because she is so great, and I want her to be in this position. It's just WWE does just choose not to give her anyone and any credible names, top stars on the show. They feel like they all live on Smack. Well, nah. I mean, there's still some issues because Jordan Grace is doing nothing. They bring her up, but she's doing nothing on the show. Julia just turned babyface, but you doing nothing with her. And it's like, man, it's just they just don't know how to. They have Alexa, but they have her freaking team with freaking Charlotte for no reason. So it's like I don't know.
She's on SmackDown, and obviously she's
I know, but she should go trade over to Raw. I mean, just trade her over to Raw if they wanted to, and then there's Alexa as a top baby face for Liv to face. So but that's the problem. They just don't have anyone credible, or if they do, they're all heels.
Yeah, that's why I always say that, me and you talked about it several times. I don't particularly, I'm not one of those people that you hear it and you see it all the time online, and a lot of other content creators, they're always in a big, huge rush for these NXT stars. I'm scared of what they're gonna, what creative it will do with the Kendall Gray, or what when Tatum Paxley comes up. I mean, that's definitely somebody that could enter the fray, but you don't want to just immediately throw her into a title picture. I think that's what they did wrong with Sol Ruka, was they put the IC title on Sol too fast. So it'll be interesting to see how they play it out. Obviously, I believe the same thing you do. I believe Roxanne is in line to win the women's Money in the Bank and eventually cash in on Liv. So it looks like she's probably going to be champion until at least past Money in the Bank. But you got to give her something to do, because that's why people get so mad, is because there's you got these champions that are holding the title, and it feels like they're holding the title hostage. But
and I feel bad for Liv trying to defend this. He did this again during the post show. Didn't see too much of it, but she said that people haven't heard people complain about it, but it's like, well, there's no one for me to face. These women are scared. She's trying to play off her character of saying of coming up with that with that excuse, and it's like she's trying to heal up her character, being that character mode of trying to explain why there's no credible why there's no one for her to face, because they're quote unquote scared of her, whatever. But where reality is, there's just no one. They don't have no one for her credible to face, or they just choose not to build up anyone to be at that level that they just choose not to. They just have them on ice, and not you don't hear anything from them. That was the problem with Soul's reign as IC champion. Don't give her time to speak. You don't give her time to show off her, have her be an incredible feud. You turn Lyra, but you have Liv still as a heel. So someone needs to turn babyface. Whether it's Roxanne, Liv, someone.
I agree. I mean, I agree 100%. I think Liv's great. I listened to her on the post show. And it goes to show what I talked to you about off camera a lot about, is they all pay attention to everything online. They see all the comments, not all of them, I'm sure, but they see all the big headlines. Oh, she's not defending. All these big wrestling news companies writing all these articles. She hasn't defended the title, and obviously Liv will repost it and say, well, I don't, they're all scared of me, and I mean that's kind of what she has to say. I feel like, to an extent, to play around her character. So it'll be interesting to see what they do moving forward. But I definitely intrigued to see if they can make some changes and at least give her something temporary to do until they set up obviously her Roxanne winning Money in the Bank and ultimately cashing in on Liv. I do believe that's the direction. So overall, good
And
match.
last thing on EO, last thing on EO too. I don't know what you do with EO at all. I don't know. I feel like maybe her and Lyra could be fun as like a regular feud. That's been the issues we've been talking about even on my show about the women's division not having any personal feud. So I would like to see that. That could be interesting to see. That's really all I can think of right now. But Ivy Nile means nothing because she hasn't been on the show. She's been stuck on Main Event or not on the show at all, which I don't know why. I just feel like it's kind of sad that you do nothing with her. I don't know. And everyone else, I think they're just waiting for Tatum Paxley to show up. That's another credible baby face for Liv to face, whatever she shows up, whatever that is, because she hasn't been on NXT for a while. So, and I watched the Lyra interview with Denise earlier about Tatum, and she was still liking Tatum. She was still that heel character even throughout the interview. But when Denise brought up Tatum, she had a different expression, like she was that she liked Tatum still and all that stuff. I was like, okay, well, there's something there. Get her on the show. So
maybe they bring her up as a heel. I don't know. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see. I do think we see her on Raw here in the next couple of weeks, if not Monday. I don't know if it's going to be Monday. I'll know, but during the week, probably about Wednesday, I'll probably know. But she's definitely going to be on Raw in the next few weeks because of those call ups. I believe after Tuesday, we could possibly see Lola Vice either on this coming SmackDown or maybe the one after that. So, like I said, that's something good that they could get going there with that. But the match was great. I'm gonna overall give it or at least I'm gonna give it like a B plus because they were at least allotted about 12 minutes. It's a lot better than what they did for Liv and Stephanie. I don't know what they're gonna do with Stephanie Valcourt. That could be the filler that we really need for Liv until she does ultimately get cashed in on. Maybe that's when Roxanne cashes in on her.
I know that Stephanie was hurt based off what she said on Unreal. So, because I also didn't know why she disappeared out of thin air. So I didn't realize she was hurt. So I don't know how long that lasts for.
Well,
it has been a few months. So I don't know. I don't know exactly. I think they're waiting for a diagnosis on whenever she comes back or when was the right time to bring her back on. To that it will make sense. I guess storyline wise, I guess that's also a factor. But that is something that I just didn't know about Stephanie beforehand. I thought she just disappeared just because she wanted to take time off of being upset or something or whatever. But But it was based off due to an injury she was suffering as champion all that time. So we'll see.
Yeah.
I'm not.
I mean, she posted a couple of videos of training and stuff like that. I believe she was in Minnesota for something, maybe the WWE the meet and greets and stuff like that. I've seen a lot of stuff. I've seen some of her training videos. It looks like she is medically clear, but I know a lot of the superstars are having some visa issues a few weeks back. So maybe that's still a factor. I don't really know. I can't really get the information on anything like that. But that would be a good filler for Liv. That was a plan coming out of WrestleMania anyways. So hopefully they're able to get Stephanie back to television soon. But we'll go ahead and move on. We'll just kind of go through the match results for the rest of the matches and just kind of give our thoughts since we're a little over an hour and a half into the stream. So the second match, which was a shocker to me on the winner, it really was. We had the Usos and Jacob Fatu, which come out to a pretty weird entrance as well. Jacob was crawling up the entrance ramp against a team that just didn't really seem like they fit well together. Because Solo has had beef with LA Knight in the past, a lot of it. LA Knight kind of Michael Cole even said LA Knight's been stuck in the bloodline vortex for over a year. So we had the Usos and Jacob Fatu going up against LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys. So Solo Sikoa has kind of taken this new babyface persona. The fans are starting to get behind him. I mean, he told the crowd, like he told them backstage to play Jey Uso's music, and he started eating and running it back like Jay did. Like he had the fans like cheering the shit out of him. So I'm a little bit invested in what Solo is doing as a babyface. So at the end of the match, Solo hits a Samoan spike to Jay, and LA Knight hits a kick and hits the BFT for the 1-2-3. So LA Knight pins Jey Uso, and then LA Knight and Solo Sikoa hug after the match. So we get LA Knight, Solo, and Royce Keys victorious over the Usos and Jacob Fatu. Your thoughts on the match, this babyface run for Solo Sikoa, and you know that Jay, Jimmy, and Jacob are now going to have to answer to Roman Reigns if it's not tomorrow, on Monday, because he doesn't accept mediocrity over there on the island of irrelevancy, what he calls that. Your thoughts on the results? Because that I lost two matches. It was obviously the Liv EO and then the Bloodline matches. I guessed the rest of them correctly, but your thoughts on the winner and right winner, wrong winner. Did you like it? Did you not like it? Thoughts on the match?
Well, I got this right. Doing the prediction stuff with
Yeah,
this is the first time I got right, because the other one I got wrong. Because I really thought Io was going to win, but she didn't. But so this one I got right here with Verz. It just kind of makes sense to me because Verzkeys is still pretty new, and he kind of needed a win, honestly, of some sort. I think honestly him being part of the him being a mixed into the whole bloodline stuff. I think it's kind of unnecessary. I know that he said that they're first or whatever, but he should. I think he should be similar on SmackDown as a powerhouse guy. That's clearly that's his name. As they do, how they treat Oba Femi on Raw, he should be kind of similar over on SmackDown. And SmackDown kind of would definitely need him. Something I think SmackDown would need that. Honestly, for him to do something, have him be in the U.S. title picture. I think I don't see no issues with that. I don't know why that isn't. I don't know why that isn't happening. I think at this point, I'd rather we're seeing that tomorrow. Trick Williams and Royce Keys tomorrow than Baron Corbin. I mean, who asked for that? I mean, realistically, it should have been Carmelo Hayes, honestly. But if they were to do Hayes for some reason, I think I would have preferred Royce Keys over Corbin anyway. Yeah, I just feel like at this point, this whole, is very similar to very similar with Liv and Roxanne and the Judgment Day Vortex. I feel the same way with Royce Keys being part of this whole Bloodline Vortex would unnecessarily that it was clearly not needed. Who cares if they're friends or not? Get this guy in an interesting feud with someone else and have him be presented as a top star at some point, and have him go after the U.S. Championship. And like I said, I think in a perfect world, it would be Trick Williams and Royce Keys tomorrow night for that championship, and get Carmelo Hayes somewhere in that picture too. So, but anyway, I don't know. But that's how I look at it. LA Knight, I don't know what people see this guy at this point because he means nothing. He's going to be married to the bloodline for the rest of his career because that's all he's been feuding with, and so that's all they care about is him being with the bloodline. And so, yeah, I don't know. I just feel like it's we'll see what happens, but I don't know what Royce should go back to SmackDown because that's where he's from, and everyone else is on Raw. So that made no sense too. Solo as well. I don't know why people on Raw go away. Unnecessary. I know a lot of people like Solo, like this babyface run Solo. I don't really care. I've kind of, there was a time I liked Solo on NXT, but then they brought up Jacob, and I was like, I was more into Jacob at that point. Then he got me more invested and interested. Whereas Keys intrigues me more. So I mean, Solo kind of, I just never. I kind of lost my fandom of Solo throughout the years at this point. So yeah, he does nothing for me, and like I said, LA Knight does nothing for me neither. So Royce Keys is the one that needs to break away and go back to and be a single star and be and show us his character more in promos and segments and feuds. Do more of that instead of him being running around with Solo and LA Knight for no reason and him being silent. Let's not do that.
Yeah, I mean, I was okay with the winner. I think it's gonna be okay if the Bloodline doesn't. They're gonna win the main event tomorrow, so I was okay, with them not getting the win here. I think it's gonna maybe create some tension. Roman's not gonna be happy. For me, I agree with you about Royce. Unfortunately, I don't think he's getting out of the Bloodline vortex because there's just not anything for him to do unless they put him in the U.S. title scene. I guess they could do that. But I feel like with War Games coming up, they're it's still a ways away, but they got to build towards that. LA Knight, he's never getting out of the Bloodline vortex. He's never winning a world title. They're TKO and WWE, they just don't see him more than just what he does, and that's come out and he gets some pops and the crowd goes crazy for him, but that's really all they see him for is to sell merch and to get crowd reactions and stuff. They don't. He's not somebody that they're going to wrap their hands around. But what I do see moving forward is Roman Reigns is set to be at Money in the Bank, which is going to be the next major PLE as far as I know as of right now. I don't know if we're getting WrestlePalooza in September, but with LA Knight getting that pinfall victory over Jay, I could possibly see an LA Knight or a Solo Sikoa versus Roman Reigns because it was originally reported by, I think it was Fightful. The original plans was for Solo to go back to Roman, but WWE creative saw the reaction that Solo was getting as a babyface, so they decided to pivot and keep him as a babyface. So we're probably looking at a Roman Reigns LA Knight or Roman Reigns Solo Sikoa at Money in the Bank. That's probably the direction. Yeah, I mean it's a clear direction they're going. I mean they're not. It's just the way it is. Like Triple H says, it's just what we do. That's the direction they're going.
People, man. I know a lot of people don't like the Seth Rollins stuff. I personally do because I'm a fan. I'm a fan of them two together, and like I said, I'm a bigger fan of Seth. But at least it's been years since we've seen them go 1-on-1. Well, it's been 2022, so the last time we've seen them 1-on-1, but it's been a while with Solo and LA Knight. That's a way recent. That was just 2 years ago or 3 years ago. I mean, that's just way recent that I just felt like I see that so many times. It's like, nah, man. It's like been there, done that. I know that he's advertised to be at Money in the Bank and Raw, which is great. This is great that he's going to be on those shows, and he has been on TV consistently, which is great. But come on, man, we need some new people for him to face, and that's credible. That's why he should have. That's why he should be facing freaking Obafemi tomorrow night. I mean, come on, man. It's just.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems to be the direction they're going. Obviously, LA Knight's going to probably show up on Raw Monday and say, "Hey, I pinned Jimmy." Maybe Solo's in his corner or something when he faces Roman at some, But then maybe this shit's going to carry all the way probably into War Games. I'm okay with it. I think it was fine. It didn't overstay its welcome. It wasn't the greatest match I've ever seen, but it wasn't the worst. It was okay. It was definitely a good follow up to Io and Liv. I didn't feel like it was the Bloodline's going to get cheered for, so I think they placed it in the right position behind the women's match. So interested to see how they do moving forward. But LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and Royce Keys did get the victory over the Bloodlines. Jay and Jimmy Uso and Jacob Plateau. So we're moving on to match number 3. This match was for me one of the shockers. A lot of people doubted me when I said that Nick Aldis could wrestle. I've obviously seen him wrestle before he was a GM. Nick Aldis and Gunther will kind of pick up towards the end. Gunther hits a power bomb. Then he hit several elbows. Obviously, before this, Nick Aldis does put him in that Boston Crab. Gunther, he gets to the ropes, but then he pulls him back to the middle of the ring. Gunther damn near taps out, but then Gunther gets out of it. He hits him with the power bomb and then several elbows to the clavicle, and he gets the sleeper. He puts the sleeper back on Nick Aldis, and then he wraps his legs around with the full body scissors. Nick gets to his feet, but then Gunther takes him back down to the mat with the sleeper, and ultimately Nick Aldis taps out to Gunther. And then it was shown way after the match, in the locker room. Triple H, congratulated Nick Aldis for being a man, standing up for himself. Nick Aldis tried to hand his resignation papers in as the active GM of SmackDown, but Triple H ripped him up and said, "Nope, you're still the GM." So, what was your overall thoughts on the Gunther winning? He's not really done shit since he's come to SmackDown. Besides that one victory over Royce Keys before he faced Cody Rhodes. He lost 4 times to him. I don't know. I thought the match was good. I thought it was good storytelling, good emotion. Mickey James was out there at ringside and his son. They obviously got in the ring after the match and hugged him. Your thoughts on the match, and do you think that this is the only time we're going to see Nick Aldis in the ring?
Yeah. So the match was surprisingly good. I was really, for first time seeing Nick Aldis in the ring, it was good. I was impressed. It was really cool, overall. But I'm used to him as a general manager. I know a lot of people don't want to see him wrestle consistently because he's still, pretty young, and people didn't want him as the general manager when he first came in. And for me, not really knowing him really, I just thought he was some random guy that they just who he was, all this stuff. And then so I just know him as a general manager. I think he's fine in that role. They can be an active wrestler. I just don't really. I don't know. I don't see it personally because I just never seen him as a wrestler before. So, I kind of glad it's gonna be a one and done for now, and then he'll just move on to being a general manager as he's wanted to, just I guess he sort of had that experience at least once, I guess, and then go back to what he was doing. Like that was a waste. That was a waste of a card he could have gone to somebody else. Ultimately, I just feel like that match is unnecessary. And I don't know what Gunther does because he's been, he doesn't mean anything. As I told you before, I feel like Gunther has been a waste. Another guy that a lot of people like, but the way he's been booked, I don't know why people like him. He's been a loser. So it's just he means nothing. And this entire match and entirety, start to finish, all the way up to the Nick Aldis backstage segment, was a waste of time. And I hope we'll never see this ever again. And whatever Gunther does, I don't know, but he just does nothing for me. He's just he's just there, to me, and I don't get invested in anything he does. So I don't get the appeal for him, but to each their own.
Yeah,
but this did it for me, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it was good to see Nick get back in the ring. Obviously, I've seen his last match, which was obviously against Cody Rhodes a few years back. So he can go in the ring. Former TNA, I believe, he's a TNA champion. At one point in time, obviously he's married to Mickey James, Hall of Famer. I think he does a great job as a GM. So I do believe that he probably picks up back up on that role. I don't think it's the last time we'll see him in the ring. I don't think it's going to be anytime soon, but could be something else that they cook up with him, depending on what the storyline is. I don't know if we see Nick Aldis and Gunther again. So definitely was a good match. It surprised me how good Nick looked in the ring after being away for 3 years. Um, Gunther has been in creative hell ever since he got moved over to SmackDown. But it looks like, according to the post show, he's immediately wanting to get put back into the title scene. He challenged CM Punk, or whoever wins between CM Punk and Sami Zayn or Finn Balor. So it looks like they're throwing Gunther back into the to the SmackDown Championship picture again, which Gunther said he didn't really care who won between Punk and Cody. He feels like he's better than both of them, and he could beat either one of them. So it looks like Gunther's still going to be at the top of the card. Whether he wins the title back, I don't believe he does, but that's where it looks like he's going to be enthralled. Maybe CM Punk's going to run through a whole list of challengers, and Gunther's probably going to be one of those top of the list. We've already seen it. Obviously, Punk won the Raw Championship from him, but it is what it is, I guess, so to speak, with Gunther. But I like the match. A lot of people were like, "Well, why did they do the match?" Well, there's probably a longer story that's going to be told with it. I think we see Nick in the ring again. That there's going to be some more heat with maybe he gets some heat with somebody else on down the road. But I don't think that's the last that we've seen Nick Aldis in the ring. But I do think it's a possibility that's the last time we've seen that match. But we'll just see how it goes. But it was okay for me. So we moved to the fourth match of the night. It was a 6-woman tag match. These women, they all looked great at the end of the day, whether they could wrestle or they can't wrestle. Nikki looked great. Brie looked great. Paige looked great. Fatal Influence. They all looked fantastic. 6-woman tag. We'll get towards the end of the match. I don't believe they featured JC or Paige enough, but Brie hits a running knee to Laney Reed, sends JC to the floor. Fallon sends Brie into the turnbuckle. Fallon gets Nikki up. Both women collide and go down. JC tags in. Paige tags in, and she misses a rolling encore. Paige then hits a sunset flip, almost gets the pinfall on JC Jane, but then Paige then kicks Fallon Henley on the floor, which ultimately distracts her long enough for JC Jane to hit the rolling encore. And JC Jane hits the rolling encore on Paige, and JC Jane gets the 1-2-3 pinfall over Paige. And after the match, the Bellas and Paige hug. This was the most I don't know what the best word for it, telegraphed heel turn that I've ever seen. I believe that Ray Charles could have seen this heel turn coming. Not saying anything about people that can't see, but it was very easy to see that they were fixing to turn on her. It was the worst heel turn that I've ever seen. The Bellas Paige hug. They then raise each other's hand. Then Nikki hits a clothesline to Paige, and both Brie and Nikki attack Paige. Nikki then gets Paige up for a rack attack 2.0 and hits her with the rack attack. But Brie got hurt during the match. She has a shoulder injury. So your thoughts on JC pinning Paige, which, I figured if there was going to be a heel turn, Paige was going to be the one to ultimately eat the pin, and then the Bellas were going to turn on her. They want to finish out the rest of their run as heels, so they said it on the podcast. So JC pins Paige, and then we get the heel turn from the Bellas, but we don't know the status of Brie. Triple H said in the post show that she's at the hospital with a shoulder injury. So your thoughts on the match? It went 8 minutes. Terrible heel turn. Very telegraphed, easy to see for me. I didn't like anything about this match, so I'll let you give your thoughts. I knew it was coming. I've been knowing it was coming. I've been talking about it on your show for several weeks. I told everybody what was going to happen. So for me, it didn't do anything. I liked it. JC and Fatal Influence got a little bit of spotlight. They should. And I liked that JC got the win since she's not in the ladder match. But everything besides that, just nothing about this match really did anything for me. I love Fatal Influence, but it just, I don't know. Nothing for me personally. Your thoughts on the match and the heel turn?
So the match itself was just, it was rough to watch. Bella should never be in the ring. Ultimately, I say this so many times. I don't know why WWE has an infatuation of the Bella twins and had them and wanted them to see them back. I think that's a waste. I feel like it was a good exposure for Fatal Influence in a big stage of SummerSlam in a big stadium and shit like that. But I just think they were in the ring with the wrong people. I felt with the whole with Paige and the Bellas, I feel like we've been there, done that. We've seen this in 2015. We're running it back again. It's like we had the same issues with her even then before, where there was no one for her to face. I would know there was someone for the team with 2015 when she had issues with the Bellas. Then I feel like it's the same thing here again, but it's like, come on, man. At the end of the day, Paige is a single star. She should be focusing on singles gold or just being an incredible feud that she's never been in the ring with before, like Soul, like Lyra, like Alexa, and redo a fully feud with Charlotte that's never been seen, or Blake, and also explain which brand this woman's going to be on consistently, because she's a free agent, even though she's been shown on SmackDown a lot. She has been shown on Raw, new tag team champion. So which brand she's going to stay on now, be loyal. I guess they think with the Bellas. I guess they've been on SmackDown. I guess all of them been on SmackDown consistently. So I guess that's where she's going to stay at moving forward, I guess. But yeah, at the end of the day, this just reminded me of what happened 2015. Been there, done that with the Bellas and Paige being a feud already. And Paige deserves a lot better than being stuck in the Bellas in this Bella feud again. We already seen it. I don't want to see it again. I feel bad for Paige being a part of this. This is not what I thought she would do when she came back at WrestleMania. I thought she would be in a different spot by now. And when I thought this was over with, I thought they were just going to move on and do their own thing, but she's still stuck with the Bella stuff. And now we have to find a tag team partner for her. Maybe we'll be AJ, but we just saw this. I don't want to see it again. It's just been there, done that. I saw this when I was 18. I'm 29. Move on.
Yeah. I mean, I think that was possibly going to be the plan. It still could be. Like I said, I don't know the severity of Brie Bella's shoulder. I could tell in the match when she hurt it. A lot of people put in the chat that it looks like Brie's hurt or she's selling. I don't think she's that great at selling. So, like, for me, I definitely could spot the injury pretty fast. She did finish the match, though. I think she was on the ground for a majority of the time, though. Hopefully she's okay. You don't want to see anyone get hurt at the end of the day. But I think that's where they were headed. They were headed for some Bellas, and maybe AJ Lee was going to be come to the rescue type thing. But if Brie's out for a significant amount of time, they may just nix that all the way around, because
if that's the case, that Paige needs to get out of this fast. Just go away. Because at this point, come on, man. First Nikki and now Brie. Come on, go away. Paige does not need to be a part of that.
Yeah. So I feel like she'll probably have a maybe we get a Paige versus Nikki match at Sunday night's main event in Atlanta. That's probably, or on a SmackDown. I don't think that match makes a PLE card by no means. And then maybe we get Paige moving on. So ultimately, the match was, I love Fatal Influence. Hopefully they find something for Fallon and Laney to do in the tag division, because they're just turned one of the only other tag teams heel, which is the Bella Twins. So I don't know who in the hell is going to be credible enough to go. Maybe Fallon and Laney are going to set the record for the longest reigning tag team champions in history of WWE, because I can't think of a tag team that's going to be able to challenge them moving forward. So, but I am happy that JC got her SummerSlam moment. It sucks that it was at the expense of Paige, but that's what set up the heel turn. We'll see where they go, what they do moving forward. Obviously, probably looking at a Paige Nikki Bella feud for a little while, and then hopefully Paige can get out of that. So then the Bellas can move on to something else, whatever they're planning on doing. I know Brie and Nikki both said they want to both go after singles gold on SmackDown, so maybe the U.S. title. I don't know what what WWE and TKO have set up for them on their last contract run. So we'll see. But I was not invested in it besides just seeing Fatal Influence. So let's go to the comments. Dylan, what's going on, brother? He was at the event. He said night one was an absolute blast. Liv versus Io was a fantastic match. Nick versus Gunther was super entertaining. Punk versus Cody, while it was a slow burn, delivered a great match. Awesome to see Randy back in action. Yeah, man, I bet you had a good time. I'm glad you're able to go to the show. I'm looking forward to Money in the Bank. I'll be there as well. I feel like all three of those matches were pretty entertaining as well. Cody and Punk 30 minutes, so it was a pretty long match as well. Brock versus Ova was a good match. They both gave it their all and passing the torch. Ova was cool to see. Respect to Brock. He deserves to be in the WWE Hall of Fame. Yeah, I believe that's not the last time we see Brock. But I think we probably get Brock Gunther at WrestleMania. Maybe we get a face Brock because he seemed to like go face toward the end of that match. So it's good to see that he passed the torch. He said Oba's the future. Then WWE TKO need to treat him like the future. Shout out to Greg, the World of Greg, for reposting the stream. Fatal Influence is the future. They are part of the future. They need to be booked like it 100%. So we're going to move on. We're going to move on to the we kind of talked about at the beginning of the show. We'll touch base on how it all ended up. CM Punk versus Cody Rhodes. The match went 30 minutes, which is a long time for a match that's not going to main event. Ultimately, we get a ref bump, and then Cody Rhodes hits the crossroads on CM Punk. Both of them put each other's finishers and kicked out of each other's finishers. There was a lot of heelish ways for Cody during the match that had me thinking, well, here we go. Maybe he's about to turn. Ultimately, we didn't get that, but you can see Cody taking the turnbuckle pad off and all that. So there was a lot of stuff that Cody was doing that, both of them were getting frustrated. They couldn't put the other one away, it seemed like. They were both kicking out. But we do get that ref bump that always seems to happen in Cody Rhodes' matches. And then Cody hits the crossroads, but obviously there's no referee. And then Randy Orton comes through the crowd. Haven't seen him on WWE television. He doesn't come up the ramp. He comes through the crowd, jumps in the ring, hits Cody Rhodes with a monster RKO with a huge pop from the crowd, slithers his way out of the ring as the Viper only does for the best. He's the best one to do that kind of stuff. And then all of a sudden, CM Punk wakes up, and so does the referee. And CM Punk hits the GTS on Cody Rhodes and gets the 1, 2, 3 to retain the championship. So, final thoughts on this match. Was it too long? Should it have main evented? What's next for Punk? I know you said Finn, but I'm talking about past Finn because we know Finn's not winning the championship. They're not taking it off. If Cody didn't beat Punk, they're damn sure not putting it on Sammy or Finn. What's next for Punk? And
there's some good opponents that are good options. Ultimately, I know that Punk in the post show he said that he wanted Obafemi, all that stuff, and so yeah. I don't think that will happen. So it's just it kind of has to be Balor. Ultimately, kind of has to be. It's now could he do Sammy? I guess I don't know, but I would rather see Balor, even if he doesn't win. I'd rather see a feud for how long that's going to last for. That's what I would rather see for Punk going forward, at least short term anyway. But when it comes to so when it comes to Cody and Randy, I'm like, ugh. I just don't care, man. I'm glad to see Randy back. That's a good thing. I'm happy about that. But I'm just already seen this, and they already kind of ruined it, and so I wouldn't even want to see it again. So, like I said earlier about Cody, I'm just emotionally and physically not interested in anything this guy does. So it's just whatever. It's a good undercard for them to do if they want to, and maybe it'll be slightly different. Not just we focus on each other only, and it's and that's and that'll be like an exclusive feud they'll be doing and all that stuff. Which fine, whatever. Like it's so yeah. I just uh, it just it was a disappointment for people who wanted to see this and wanted thought this was going to be some type of credible match. As I said all this earlier, but
Yeah.
at the end of the day, a lot of people were disappointed about this. I never cared for it, so I can't feel anything about it. Reigns and Rollins is the major world title match I'm looking forward to the most for tomorrow. So this did nothing for me personally, but a lot of people were disappointed about it and wanted more from this between these two beasts of their history, in past companies. So
Yeah.
so that's how I feel about it. That's it.
So for me, like I said, it still should have main evented. It was 30 minutes. You just take credit. Doesn't matter who the champion or the challenger is. Like you don't. It's definitely still should have main evented the show. It was the longest match on the card. It went almost 31 minutes. Punk can still go for his age, which is great. Like I said, this ain't the last time we're gonna see it. We're going to see this match a couple more times. Eventually, Cody will win that title from Punk. I know the fans are not going to like to hear that, but that's just what's going to happen. That's what TKO is going to do. I think they're trying to get a little bit of the heat off of Cody Rhodes is what I was told. They are going to try to put him in a non-title feud with Randy, which I don't think is the best idea because Randy, like I said, Randy's going to be cheered. If you're not going to turn this man heel, then put him against heels that get booed. Don't put him against heels that are going to get cheered because it makes him look like a geek, and other people are already tired of him. That's not that people that are not fans of him are super tired of him, and then people like myself that are fans of him are sick of the same shit over and over and over, and we want to see something different. And we're clamoring for a heel turn. So I don't like it. I don't like anything about it. I think it's creative malpractice by Triple H if they're not going to turn that man heel to put him against someone that is ultimately going to be cheered against him. They cheered like crazy when Randy RKO'd him. We'll see. At least it keeps Cody out of the title picture so the IWC can chill the hell out. And maybe, I don't know, maybe those guys that post about Cody every day, they might not get a paycheck for August because there's not going to be anything to talk about because he's not going to be in the title scene. As far as Gunther goes, not Gunther, CM Punk, he's got either Finn or Sammy, which neither one of them are winning the title. It is what it is. It's what we do according to Triple H. Gunther has already made a challenge to Punk. Punk said, bring it on. Punk said he was going to slap the hell out of Cowboy Bob Orton and slap Randy Orton's mom. Randy could come get some. He said Cody could come get some again. Trick Williams, he talked about Roman and his contract that he has to always be in the main event and that maybe he'll go over to Raw because the ratings suck over there. They need a ratings increase. He said he wasn't a P, which I'm not saying that word on YouTube. He also said something about Obafemi. I'm going to tell you fans out there right now, don't get your hopes up about that because that ain't going to happen. Obafemi's not leaving Netflix. They're paying way too much money to WWE. Now they could pull the trigger eventually if they do plan on keeping the title on Reigns till next SummerSlam. Eventually, maybe have Obafemi win that SmackDown title, but it's not going to be an immediate feud, so you guys don't get your hopes up. I believe the next feud for Obafemi is going to be Bronson Reed. So I think that's how and then maybe he moves on to Braun Breaker. I think that's how we stimulate into Oba and Braun Breaker. Those are two great feuds for Oba that he can ultimately win, and then he can work his way toward Roman Reigns. Cody Rhodes, I guess him and Randy are going to have a couple more matches. I don't know. I don't really care for it. I'll watch it, but I don't care for it because they ruined it at WrestleMania. And like I said, you got a baby face that's acting like a heel, but you're too chicken shit to turn him heel. So because you're too scared to pass that torch to somebody behind him that's going to do all the charity work and going to meet all the kids and going to do the stuff for all the foundations for the kids, which I think is absolutely phenomenal that anybody does that type of stuff. But they're so scared to pass that torch that they won't turn the man heel, and they're going to ruin his career. At the end of the day, they're going to wait till he's getting ready to retire like they did Cena, and it's not going to work, just like it didn't work with Cena. Cody has fallen in the same exact footsteps as John Cena. He is the John Cena 2.0 of WWE. I don't want him in the title scene if he's a face. I'm a fan. I like Cody, but hopefully they keep him out of the title scene until he is a heel. I want to see a heel Cody Rhodes. I know what he can do as a heel. He's very compelling. He can tell great stories as a heel. He makes the fans hate him. He'll get tremendous heat from the fans, and he'll have people that are on the edge about him, whether they like him or they don't. They will come over and start to like him. And the ones that hate him are always going to hate him because he beat Roman Reigns and ended that streak. You're never going to change those people's minds about Cody. But, I don't like the Cody that they're putting on television right now, and I'm a fan. So that's really all I have for this match. Punk's going to have a longer reign, it looks like. Going to go through some challenges. Maybe he does face Trick. I don't think Trick wins the title. Ultimately, people are not going to want to hear this. But I think there's also a possibility that Cody Rhodes may win Money in the Bank. And the reason I say this is because Street Fighter is in October. They promoted it really fucking heavy tonight. If they have any plans of doing Cody versus Roman at Crown Jewel, then Cody will probably win fucking Money in the Bank and cash in on Punk before Crown Jewel. Hopefully that's not how they do things if Cody is not a heel. I do not want to see this man with the title again until he's a heel. So TKO, pull the trigger. Stop putting him in feuds with people that are going to get cheered if you want to get the heat off him, because that's not the way to do it. It's throwing him in a feud with Randy Orton. They're going to cheer him. They showed you on Unreal that the only reason they brought Pat McAfee into the story was to try to make the fans boo Pat and Randy and get them to stop booing Cody. They told you. And you're immediately throwing him back into a feud with Randy. So I don't understand it. We'll see how things play out. It'll keep Cody out of the title picture for a couple of months. So we'll see how that goes. It's been a while. I haven't seen him not in the title picture in a while, ever. So we'll see how that goes. A couple of comments. Punk and Cody was great for a first match. Wasn't better than Punk and Roman at WrestleMania. Nice to have Randy Orton back on Friday nights. Randy Orton will be a great boost back to Friday Night SmackDown, and Kevin Owens is on his way back as well. Cody Rhodes, to me, turning heel at SummerSlam seems like won't be. Perhaps they save it for the end of the year or early 2027. Oh, God, I hope not. If they go that long, then that man is going to have so much hate that he's not ever nobody wants to wait that long. Everybody's ready. They've been teasing this for way too long. They need to do something. Either he's not and he's just going to be a replica of John Cena and people are just going to have to deal with it, or don't tease him to be a heel. There's no in between here. So that's just all I have to say about that. We'll see what happens in the future, but CM Punk retains. Dropped a pipe bomb on half the roster. So that we got to the main event. Femi, Brock Lesnar. Alicia Taylor does the introductions. Typical Brock Lesnar match, pretty short. A lot of F5, a lot of German suplexes. Go to towards the end. Oba blocks an F5, hits a choke slam. Both men are down. Brock gets up and Oba escapes an F5 attempt. Oba then hits a choke slam and a toss power bomb. Brock gets Oba up and hits another F5. So he ended up hitting him at the end with a tombstone pile driver, and even did the replica thing that the Undertaker used to do. But Oba kicked out. Oba then punches the chair from Brock's hand, and Oba hits the fall from Grace from the 1, 2, 3. After the match was over, Brock Lesnar returns back to the ring, enters the ring, and he takes his elbow pads off and has a face-off with Oba. He hugs Oba Femi. Brock then raises Oba Femi's hand and asks for a microphone. Says he is the future. Brockton says he is the past and Oba is the future. Oba then stands tall as WWE SummerSlam Night 1 comes to a close. So your thoughts on the match and what happened after the match with Brock Lesnar ultimately being a babyface and passing the torch to Oba Femi. Kyle, are you there? He might be out.
Say that again. Say it one more time again. Sorry.
You're good. Your thoughts on the end of the Brock Lesnar Oba Femi match, the main event, and Brock coming back into the ring and handing him passing the torch.
Right. So I felt the match was I thought I enjoyed it overall. It was a good match. I thought the Hell in a Cell stipulation was kind of unnecessary. Looking back at it, it was like I see better Hell in a Cell matches that incorporate the cell itself, and to make it feel. I don't know. I mean, they didn't need to have blood. I mean, that was necessary. I thought what he did with the whole exposing the ring, I was like, we saw that on Undertaker and Brock Lesnar. So it's like I don't know. I think that's also unnecessary. They didn't incorporate the cell at all. It was like only a little bit. I was like, come on, man. What is this? It's like this is a main event match. Please. I mean, come on, dude. I mean, this is just after weeks or months of this being the final match, it's like this is what they got. This is what we have. It's like I just hope tomorrow's better. Since with all the matches for that stuff happening for tomorrow, because I don't know what this was. This was a complete waste, and this is what Oba Femi decided to get rid of his shot for this moment. I guess was that really necessary? Was it worth it? I don't know how it was worth it for him, because this was completely a waste of time, and it was really short. That was I don't know.
Yeah, it went 11 minutes. I mean, ultimately, I think the whole point of this match was to assert that Oba Femi is the next big thing, and the company, kind of like what they did for Brock when he came up, and he obviously won. He beat Hulk Hogan and obviously won the title from The Rock. It was more of a passing of the torch type thing, which I do respect Brock. I don't think he's done. I think we see him in Saudi Arabia. I think he's a babyface. He definitely acted like a babyface after the match, passing the torch to Oba, telling him he's the future. I completely am on board with that, because it's time that all the stars that are older start to pass the torch. But I don't think this should have main evented. Not any means necessary for this match to main event. It was too short. They did not. I agree with you, Kyle. They did not use the cell. This match could have been in a regular ring. The cell was not acclimated much. Obviously, besides Brock pulling up the mat and hitting the tombstone, there really wasn't a whole lot of cage action. There wasn't no blood or anything like that. It was okay. I'm glad Oba got the win. Now Oba can move on. They need to push him toward the world, putting him in the world title picture. So that was pretty much it for me. This was your night one. For me, I'm gonna give it a D. I don't think I told you going in that I was worried about this card. And I was worried about The commercials, the matches got besides the Bellas and them, which I don't really think that match could have went any longer because it was really terrible. But I mean, Liv and Io was okay. The Usos match was okay. They did give Liv and them a few extra minutes, which I enjoyed that. Cody and Punk was fine. I had no problems with it. I think it was a little long. Don't really care that Randy and Cody's in a feud again. If they're trying to get Cody cheered, that's not the way to do it. So TKO, I got a lot to say. I'll have a lot to say to you guys going forward in the future about that when we have this feud. I'm sure coming up, going towards that Sunday night's main event. That's probably your match, probably your main event, Cody and Randy. It's in Cody's hometown, so that's probably your main event moving forward for the Sunday night main event, I would assume, or maybe Money in the Bank. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what they do moving forward.
Rematch we just saw.
Oh yeah, well they're going to probably do it a couple of times, but they got to do something with Cody to keep him out of the title picture because they see the online hate. They're trying to keep him. They're trying to keep the hate down on Cody.
Well, that's fair. I mean, look, at that point, that's fine, I guess. At least it's not going to be for the championship, at least.
Right,
but
right. He's going to stay out of the
just
title.
Saw it though, but whatever. But at least I guess like I said, positive. It's not a title match. We just saw it though, and it wasn't any good. But maybe it'll be different because Pep actually won't be involved this time as it was supposed to be. So
I mean,
maybe they can just correct it.
They can tell a great story together. They have history. They were in the legacy. They go back 18 plus years. So, you know, that there is a story there to tell with them too, and they can both tell a good story in the ring. So that I'm not worried about the match delivering. Randy's health's always a concern because I think that's probably why he's off. He's not going to admit that, but he's always had some back problems and stuff like that. But keep Cody out of the title picture until he is a heel. You just gotta take a chance and keep him out of the title picture and get some of the heat off of him. The fans are just they're fatigued. But I don't think Oba even said Oba quoted one of Cody's sayings tonight in the post show. He's like, "Oh, I'm easy to find, but I'm hard to beat." I was like, "Oh God, don't tell me they're gonna do that. Don't do that. That's just insane to do. Save that.
Well, I guess they have to kind of match. He kind of has to match it. It can't just be Reigns, because he's been, he has to have some type of. That's also true. That's also true.
I mean,
I don't know why. I don't know why he brought up. I don't know why he brought that up. That I didn't watch it, so I don't know what Oba said, but so I don't know why you bringing up Cody Rhodes when he's not the champion.
Yeah, it's very weird. Delvin says night one of SummerSlam is in the books. I thought it was a great show. Fantastic wrestling, surprise RKO return, official changing of the guard in the main event. On to big night 2. I'm glad you enjoyed it, Delvin. Like I said, everybody has their own certainties and uncertainties about the product. I don't think it was that great, but I'm sure if I was there live, I probably would have enjoyed it more. Final thoughts concerned letter grade on night 1, Kyle, before we get to the outro so we can get out of here.
I just feel like that was just looking at it on paper, it was, I kind of figured it would be something like this, honestly, not being great compared to tomorrow. I do think tomorrow will be better, hopefully, in execution. They always do this every single time. They're going to keep doing it as long as they do 2 nights of WrestleMania and SummerSlams. That's just what's going to happen. I did hear Solid Monster beforehand saying that 2 nights of SummerSlam was completely unnecessary. I somewhat slightly agree. They could have just done all the stuff. They could have just had, I don't know, the big matches on one night, and everything else seemed kind of every other match were TV matches for the most part, and with these 6 women and 6-man tags, it's SmackDown matches. But it's hard because I do like two nights of WrestleMania, but did he do it for SummerSlam? I'm not sure. We had it twice now. I didn't care for it last year. Tonight wasn't really anything all that good neither. Tomorrow will be the one that we saved, and there are some matches on tomorrow I'm looking forward to, but I just don't think it's needed for SummerSlam for 2 nights. Ultimately, looking at it, 2 years in a row now, um, but yeah, hopefully tomorrow will be good and it'll be a better show, and we can move on from that and see what they do going into Monday and Friday.
Yep, 100%. What was your overall letter grade? I gave it a D. Out of A to
Uh,
F.
yeah, kind of in the same. I mean, I've like 'cause the only match I cared for was Liv and Neo, and that's it, and everything else is just like bleh. I would
Yeah.
say it's at least a C. At least I'll say a C at least.
Okay, sounds good. Let me read this last comment. It was from Peter. I missed it earlier. What's going on, Peter? I'm sorry I missed your comment. The biggest idiot in my heart is Triple H. Why? Because he says WWE fans are ruining everything. Even Bischoff, many years, stated that we know what is going to happen. Even every segment is so predictable.
That's
Um,
stupid to say. We don't know what's gonna happen. We just
I mean,
assume.
we
We don't,
don't we don't really know what's going to happen, and at the end of the day, Peter, while I respect your comment, I think that Triple H is very high on keeping it from the fans knowing what's going to happen. Well, we saw that with the King of the Ring tournament. So I don't think Triple H is doing a great job on creative by no means, but I also don't think that the average fan that just watches it, the casual that just watches it every once in a while, or even majority of the diehard fans can tell you exactly what's going to happen. Because with even having someone on the inside, don't always know exactly what's going to happen. So I definitely don't agree with that. So, all right. So here we go. Shout out to DW Media page. Shout out to Stampede on YouTube. Thanks for coming in. I saw you earlier today when we did the mental health stream with Michael. Shout out to Greg at DW Family Media. Shout out to my boy Raymond. Obviously Raymond and what's going on, Z? Shout out to Z. Thanks for coming in on the X page. Also, shout out to the DW Media page. Make sure you follow that. Shout out to Dylan, who is part of my exclusive news channel on Discord. Shout out to Dylan. I'm glad you had a fun time at the show. Look forward to hearing about tomorrow. You can always DM me, send me pictures, stuff like that. Glad you're here.
Oh, you were there. Okay. Hopefully you did enjoy it. Maybe you have a different feeling for it tomorrow. If you're going to be there tomorrow, it'll be a different feeling. Be like, oh, this is a lot better, or this is who knows. But compared to how it was
Yeah.
tonight. So look forward to see how you feel about it tomorrow. Then.
100%. So if you did watch the stream on YouTube, please hit the like button or on the YouTube stream. It will help me out with my channel, my algorithm. Shout out to everyone that has subscribed to the channel. You guys have been killing it. We're live on my YouTube. We're live on my X. We're also live on DWE Television X page. Make sure you follow DWE Television on X. Everyone affiliated, the CEO himself, Miami the Great. You can catch him live on Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. Eastern inside the NFL Mind on DWE Television. Also on Twitch at DWE TV and DWE Television. You can also listen to that podcast in particular on Talk It Up podcast on YouTube. Make sure you subscribe to Talk It Up podcast as well. And also the CFO and the HR, his co-host for DW Radio on Saturdays, Final Boss Baby with 2 B's. Make sure you follow her on X and hit that like and subscribe button to Talk It Up podcast. You can also listen to DW Radio on Spotify as well as on Twitch and Talk It Up podcast and DW Television. Also, DW Media page. Make sure you follow that on X. As I've seen it showed right here, The World of Greg. Make sure you follow him. Him and my co-host tonight, Colin Anthony, are live every Monday at 7 p.m. Eastern for the Raw Rundown. That will be live in two days from now. Or the Raw Rundown, they will be getting you ready for the Monday Night Raw card after SummerSlam. So we should be getting probably a big cast appearance and maybe a Tatum Paxley. We'll see. We'll see what happens from the fallout of SummerSlam. Speaking of my co-host, you can catch him and myself on every Wednesday, but this coming up Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern time for the Queens of WWE episode number 8. Make sure you follow Kyle on X, Apto Slam Podcast on X, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok, Smoke Session Podcast, and the Sports Jedi Network. Going to go ahead and pass it off to, well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and go to the outro, and then I'll pass it off to my co-host so he can tell you where to find him on his socials. I will then tell you where you can find me on my socials and what I have coming up for you tomorrow and this coming up week. We'll be right back.
Wrestling has more than one royal family.
There are a lot of podcasts out there, but only one with this kind of energy.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps Predictions Sports. Let go, Show Recaps Predictions Sports.
In one podcast.
Welcome to EVP Show Recaps Predictions Sports. Let go.
All right. Once again, thank you guys for tuning in to the Night 1 SummerSlam recap show. August 1st, 2026, first day of August. We are on to new month. I don't think SummerSlam was that great, so hopefully night 2 will be a lot better tomorrow. Peter said, I hope WWE improves. That's all I want to say. I really hope don't bring part-timers anymore. Full-timers are what we need. Yeah, I agree. Thanks, Peter. All right, so I'm going to hand it off to the co-host, Kyle the Man Anthony. Let him tell you where you can find him on his socials and anything he has coming up next. Kyle?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Twitter at KyleRoshan96. So what's going on with me is that on Monday I have the rundown with Ronald Greg an hour before Raw happens, Rupert's preview, and there's a theory where we're gonna end up what we want to see happen on the show for an hour, and then then I also have my own show, Queens of WWE. Where I run down everything that's going to happen with the women's division. CJ is my co-host, where we're going to also theorize what was going to happen with each woman on each show as well, where we think each woman are going to be, or where we think they're gonna end up, in which feud we'll see them in, and where and all this stuff is theorized what happened within the show, and based on what happened on the show, theorize what happened with each woman on where we want to see them at that point. But that's where you can find me at, is social shows there. And like I said, my Twitter is at KyleRoshan96. That's where you can follow me at there. And that's what I have coming up. So check me out.
All right. Thanks, Kyle. As far as my socials, you can find them all scrolling on the bottom of the screen. All my links are in my bio. You can find me on X at EVPCJP. Elon has kind of put me on a strict diet from the follow backs, but I will follow back as many as I can on one day. I think that my unbalanced level of followers and the people I follow and people who follow me back have to get closer, or I have to have more followers than I follow or something. It's like an unequal balance. But if I do follow you back, you can go all the way up to the top of my X page and find my YouTube. It's all the way pinned at the top of my page. Give it a retweet if you enjoy my content, and if you're a member of the channel that's in here constantly. Make sure you guys retweet that for me. That'll help me out a lot. If you are watching live on YouTube, please make sure you hit that like button. Any likes are appreciated on every single stream. On Instagram, you can find me EVPCJP. It is a business account, but my YouTube is pinned in my bio. You can see all the upcoming videos that Miami and the World of Greg make for my upcoming streams. I already have the SummerSlam Night 2 recap show tomorrow night on Instagram as well as TikTok. You can find me at Brady DeGoat21 at BRADY DAGOAT21. Once again, my YouTube is in my bio, and you can see all of my upcoming videos for my upcoming streams. Last but not least, most importantly, please like and subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you have not subscribed, hit that subscribe button. If you can't find it on any of the social media platforms, just type in at the EVP show. If you are subscribed, please turn that notification bell on and come and join me for the daily wrestling content. Like I said, once again, if you are watching live, or if you do go back and watch the stream live, leave some comments. Tell me, guys, if you were there, that's great. Tell me what you guys thought about night 1, what you liked, what you didn't like. I obviously have my notifications on, so I will see comments that you guys leave in the future on the stream. What I have next for you, coming up next for you guys. Tomorrow night it is SummerSlam night 2, another long day of wrestling, another 3-hour pre-show. But there will be no Sony Scoops tomorrow or LFG, but you can catch me here back live tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time for your SummerSlam Night 2 recap show. And then Monday night is the Raw after SummerSlam. You can catch me live at 11 p.m. Eastern Time for your Raw recap show. And then Tuesday, Kendall Gray defends against All the Vice in the Underground match. You can catch me live at 10:30 p.m. Eastern for the NXT recap show. Wednesday, there will be it won't be my own stream, but you can catch it here on YouTube, on DW Television, on Twitch, and also on my X page. Colin Anthony is the host. I am the co-host. Queens of WWE episode number 8, Wednesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. Tune in to that. I'm sure we'll have a lot to say about everything that happens at SummerSlam, on Raw, and from SmackDown this past week, and NXT as well. So it should be a fun episode. Tune into that Wednesday at 8. Thursday night, I'll switch gears over to reality TV. It will be the Big Brother season 28 week 4 recap show. And then next Friday night, what's next for CM Punk following his win over Cody Rhodes? Join me at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the SmackDown recap show. And then Saturday, I'm off for the first time in over 20 plus days. So I will not be on a stream. I will be chilling and not doing very much. So, but then next Sunday, I'm back to doubleheader Sunday as long as LFG is still on. I will check the schedule for LFG tomorrow after it goes off and see if it's going to be another episode. If it is doubleheader Sunday. If it's not, you can tune in at Sunday at 6 p.m. Eastern as Sunday Night Scoops returns. We'll have a lot of stuff to talk about in regards to everything that happened at SummerSlam and where we're headed in the future, headed towards Money in the Bank and Sunday night's main event in September. If there is an LFG, you can catch me live 11:30 p.m. Eastern Time for the LFG Season 3, Episode 16 recap show. With that being said, thank you guys once again. 154 people tuned in to the SummerSlam Night 1 recap show with myself and my co-host, Kyle the Man Anthony. I am the EVP from the EVP show and the golden boy of DWE. And DWE is the only place to be. You guys enjoy your Sunday. Enjoy SummerSlam Night 2 and come back here tomorrow night at 10:30 p.m. Eastern Time and join me for the SummerSlam Night 2 recap show. Good night, everyone.